Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto stops holding back Chunin exams. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Shisui Uzunaki and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. Disclaimer: I do not own Naruto. Oh, Naruto-kun, you're up? Don't mind me, I was just picking up in here. Tsunami? Sitting up on his sleeping mat, Naruto stared at the dark-haired beauty walking around the room. He hadn't seen her in years. Not since his first C-rank as a genin. Which means I'm actually back. Looking down at his hands, he clenched his fists, and visibly recoiled at the lack of strength he felt from his arms. He had forgotten how weak he had been before his training trip with Jiraiya. Not that it was a surprise. Before leaving the village, he had been practically starved every day because of the shopkeeper's prejudice. The old man had made sure he had what he needed to survive, but it wasn't enough for a ninja in training who burned thousands of calories a day training. Naruto, your team already left for the bridge. You can join them if you want, I'll finish cleaning in here. Tsunami offered as she bent over to pick up one of the dirty blue shirts Naruto had left on the floor last night. Her skirt pulled tight around her backside and Naruto stared at the appealing sight. Unlike his perverted teacher, he felt shame at perving on a sweet woman like Tsunami, but it wasn't enough to force him to look away. Tsunami was a beautiful woman, and he was a growing boy. Of course, he was going to look. I'm sure my team can handle protecting Tazuna, Naruto said, flopping back onto his sleeping bag. I think I'll get some more rest. And be here to stop you from getting kidnapped. Last time he had been too young to understand that if Inari hadn't stalled the two thugs Gato had sent to kidnap Tsunami, she would have wished they had killed her. He wasn't the only one who could see her beauty, and Gato was a bastard. No telling what the scum who worked for him would do. It didn't matter now, though. Shaking his head, Naruto watched Tsunami leave the room smiling. He was here now, and that meant she would be fine. Even as a genin, he had taken care of the thugs quickly. With the experience he had now, it wouldn't even be fair. He couldn't use anything in his arsenal other than his Kage Bunshin and its variations if he didn't want people asking questions. If he used the Rasengan or summoning jutsu, people would ask where he learned it, and then what would he say? Oh, Jiraiya of the Sannin taught me those moves in the future, and then my soul got sent back in time to change things because the future sucks. The old man would have him in a padded room before he even finished speaking. And he couldn't change anything from there. I need to be out in the field. There was so much he needed to change. Sasuke leaving for starters. Orochimaru wouldn't get his friend, not again. Jiraiya had told him some of the stories about the snake Sannin, and Naruto didn't like the idea of Sasuke spending a day, let alone years, with the freak. He couldn't let it happen again. Oh! Springing from his bed as a piercing scream echoed through the house, Naruto leaped out the window, still barefoot. Gato's thugs had arrived, and while Inari had acted to protect his mother, Naruto wouldn't let it get that far. The Ronin Gato hired wouldn't even make it out the door. Channeling chakra to his feet, he stuck to the side of the house and ran sideways to the front, stopping when he made it to the front door. Dropping down, he waited for the footsteps inside to get close and lashed out with a kick, forcing the front door to cave in. What the hell? Watch out, Naruto shouted as the door slammed into one thug. Naruto Uzumaki is here. The second thug shoved Tsunami to the ground, forcing a cry of pain from the mother. Drawing his sword, he pointed it at the blonde brat who had just taken down his partner. I'm going to cut you to ribbons, brat. Bah, Naruto waved his hand. You aren't going to land a single hit. Back when he was still a fresh genin on his first C-rank, these fools couldn't touch him. Narrowing his eyes as the mercenary charged, Naruto brought his hands up. Even in the weak body, he had now a pathetic thug shouldn't even be able to get close to him. Die, punk! Raising his sword above his head, the thug charged. Taking advantage of one of the dozens of openings in the man's stance, Naruto channeled chakra into his feet and vanished in a burst of speed. What the hell, erg? Gasping as pain erupted from his stomach, the samurai dropped to his knees, his sword clattering to the ground at his side. No way! Watching from behind the corner, Inari stared in awe at the blonde ninja who had shouted at him the night before. I didn't even see him move. 1 second he was in the door, and in a blink of an eye he was punching the samurai. How can someone move that fast? Hey, Inari! Naruto sidestepped the thug's falling body and picked up the sword lying on the ground. Walking over to Tsunami, he cut the ropes binding her hands together. Tie these guys up for me, okay? The boss should have made it to the bridge by now, and he will need my chakra. What? Waving, the Naruto standing in the room exploded in a cloud of smoke, leaving Inari gaping at the empty space where the ninja was just standing. How'd he do that? Good, Tsunami's safe. Hiding in the trees that overlooked the bridge, Naruto opened his eyes as the memory from his shadow clone finished. It was a risk leaving behind a clone to fight the thugs, but he had to save Sasuke. Haku wouldn't want to kill Sasuke, but there was no telling what would happen if he didn't show up. Zabuza could order Haku to help him fight Kakashi-sensei, and even if he didn't want to, Haku won't hesitate to finish Sasuke to help his master. Here we go. Jumping from the tree, Naruto landed on the railing of the bridge and ran forward into the mist, a coating of chakra on the bottom of his sandals keeping his footsteps silent. Reaching into the pouch strapped to his back, he pulled the small roll of explosive tags he took from Kakashi-sensei's pack with his left hand, and with his right he pulled 3 kunai from his holster. Wrapping one explosive tag to the hilts of his kunai, he grinned as the ice dome came into view. This time things were going to go a little different. Sorry, Haku. Throwing all 3 knives, he watched as the tags began to burn. Gritting his teeth, Sasuke pulled another pair of saban from his arm. The wound stung, but again Zabuza's masked partner had purposely missed anything lethal. I am being toyed with. Before the ice dome had formed, he could have fought the masked ninja on even grounds. Maybe he wouldn't have won, but he could have pushed the fight to a standstill. But with the ice technique and his opponent's enhanced speed within it, he shouldn't still be alive. If it was anyone else behind that mask, the Uchiha clan would have been ended. Instead, I'm being made a fool of. Sasuke didn't want to die. There were still things he had to do in life. He still needed to kill Itachi and make sure the legacy of the Uchiha was no longer stained by the existence of his brother. However, having an enemy stronger than him continuously spare his life was humiliating. The blood of Konoha's strongest clan flowed through his veins. I do not need the mercy of an enemy. He was an Uchiha. The elite of the elite. Please surrender. I do not wish to hurt you. Sasuke, cover your eyes. Reacting on instinct before it even processed that he was following the orders of the dead last, Sasuke brought his arms up, shielding his eyes with his forearms. How? Underneath his mask, Kakashi smiled at the dumbfounded look on Zabuza's face as 3 explosions rocked the bridge and small shards of ice rained down on them. Your sidekick may have been able to beat Sasuke alone, Zabuza. But my team knows what you can't do alone, you do together. Holding up his kunai as Zabuza hefted his massive sword into the air, Kakashi's right eye closed as his left shined red in the mist. Your divide and conquer method will be what defeats you. TCH. Zabuza grunted, your brats are still going to lose, Hataki. Together, separate, it doesn't matter. Haku won't fail me. I wouldn't be so sure about that. Kakashi glanced past Zabuza to where his students were fighting for their lives. Sasuke was Rookie of the Year, the strongest genin in the village. And Naruto was the most unpredictable ninja in the Leaf Village. I'll leave it to them. Zabuza was who he had to beat. Their first encounter had shown that even with teamwork, Sasuke and Naruto would not be able to defeat the hidden Mist Swordsman. Forcing him to release the water prison jutsu was one thing, actually beating him was another. No matter Sasuke's talent or Naruto's drive, they were still genin, and Zabuza was a jonin. So, you've come to die with your friend? Hake sent 3 saban at his blonde friend, careful not to aim for anywhere vital. He didn't want to hurt either Leaf Ninja, but Zabuza-sama had given him a mission. Rolling out of the way, Naruto dodged the sharp sticks of metal and drew 2 kunai from his holster and sent them at the closest ice mirror. He didn't know which mirror Haku was in, so I'll just have to destroy them all. Jumping from one mirror to the next, Haku's eyes narrowed behind his Hunter-Nin mask as another of his constructs was blown to pieces. Naruto was proving smarter than he had first thought. Naruto, at least you didn't come inside. Flicking through hand signs as fast as he could, Sasuke sucked in a deep breath as his fingers formed the last seal needed for his jutsu. Tora! Bringing the seal to his lips, he released his breath. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Expelling a large ball of flames from his mouth, Sasuke watched as it flew towards what he hoped was the masked ninja. Without a way of telling which mirror held the real Haku and not a reflection, he was firing blindly. Outside the dome, Naruto saw the flames between the mirrors and pulled another kunai from his holster. The flames would do a thing to Haku's mirrors, but they were a good distraction for him to prepare another exploding tag. Please stop doing that. Freezing as cold metal pressed against his neck, Naruto glanced over his shoulder and met the painted eyes of Haku's mask. Tell your friend to stop fighting. Haku's voice was muffled slightly, but Naruto heard him clearly. Or I'll kill you. No. Twisting his head, Naruto impaled his neck on the sanban, shocking Haku. Why? Haku's unasked question was answered as the Naruto he held hostage exploded, sending him flying across the bridge. Hitting the ground yards away, he slid to a stop nearly halfway across the bridge, his robes burning and mask cracked, revealing his right eye. A shadow clone with an explosive tag in its jacket. Sasuke scoffed as he walked out of the ice dome. Bleeding from dozens of cuts on his arms, legs, and face, he looked on the bad side of horrible but was still grinning. I didn't think you had a plan like that in you, loser. It was said as a joke, but Sasuke was watching Naruto closely. The knucklehead had never shown planning on that level before. He had been the one to come up with the Shadow Clone Demon Shuriken plan, not Naruto. And in the academy, all his teammate did was charge and fist flying. Naruto never seemed to plan during his spars, he was always thinking on his feet. So what had changed? Bah, shut up, Sasuke. I got you out of the Ice Palace, didn't I? Naruto grinned, thumping his chest with his thumb. Now, let's kick this guy's ass and go help Kakashi-sensei. Not that Kakashi-sensei needs help. Back when he was a fresh genin, Naruto knew his teacher was a strong fighter. But it hadn't been until he left with Jiraiya that he really learned just how powerful Kakashi-sensei was. Traveling around the elemental nations and hearing the rumors that strangers told about his sensei had been eye-opening, to say the least. People said Kakashi-sensei could take down a whole nation on his own. Naruto didn't think that was true, but the strength you had to have to even start rumors like that would have to be incredible. So there was no way Kakashi would lose to Zabuza. But Sakura, if the hidden Miss Swordsman went after his teammate, she would last 2 seconds before he cut her in half. Naruto! Sasuke snapped, leaping in front of his teammate, and using a kunai to knock half a dozen senbons out of the air. What is that idiot doing? 1 second he had the enemy on the ropes, and the next he was staring into space like a moron. Probably celebrating about how cool he looked in his head. The idiot. Blinking, Naruto shook his head and drew a kunai of his own. I'm ready to go, Sasuke. You're the one who looks tired. What are you talking about, loser? Your eyes, Naruto pointed a finger at Sasuke's eyes. They're all red. Bringing his kunai up to his eyes, Sasuke stared at the reflection, looking back at him. My Sharingan. That was how he could see the senbon and block them. His eyes had evolved. I can see now. Grabbing Naruto by the shoulders, he jumped to the side, dragging the blonde with him as another volley of senbon dug into the ground where they were previously standing. Ha! Mocking laughter from the end of the bridge grabbed all the ninjas' attention, halting their fights. So this is what the great demon of the mist is capable of. Losing to a bunch of kids, and a one-eyed handicap. How pathetic. Gato. Glaring at the short businessman, Naruto stepped away from Sasuke, his knuckles turning white around the hilt of his kunai. This guy was the cause of all the pain the people of Wave had been forced to suffer through. Gato, what are you doing here? Zabuza asked, jumping away from Kakashi to stand closer to Haku. He didn't like what was happening. Behind Gato was a small army of hired thugs, all grinning and wielding weapons. I told you I would come find you when the job was done. Gato tapped his cane on the bridge, smirking. I paid you more than all these guys behind me, demon. And yet you failed once and now you're failing again. The businessman's glasses glinted in the morning sunlight, hiding the satisfied look in his eyes. So, I decided, screw your payment. I'll have my boys kill all of you so-called powerful ninja and then the bridge builder and his family. I see. Turning his back completely to the leaf ninja, Zabuza lifted his sword, letting it rest on his shoulders and neck. Kakashi, it looks like it's your lucky day. Our fight is over and you get to live. How kind of you. Kakashi, I smiled and pulled his forehead protector down to cover his Sharingan. Sasuke, Naruto, let's go. What? Sasuke growled in anger. Were they just going to leave? He had his Sharingan now. Those thugs were flies to him, and with his eyes, the hunter Nin would wish he hadn't shown mercy to an Uchiha. Sasuke! Kakashi barked at his genin. We're leaving. Our job is to protect the bridge builder, and he is in danger the longer we remain here. TCH, Sasuke scoffed. Come on, Naruto. Right. Naruto nodded. Zabuza and Haku could handle Gato and his hired swords. Without another ninja under his employ, the midget jerk didn't stand a chance. Running back to Kakashi, Naruto glanced at Sasuke, who was glaring at the air in front of them with his Sharingan. He understood his teammates' frustration. If he had been knocked around by Haku, he would want payback as well. But they were shinobi and the mission came before personal feelings. And I'm happy Haku will live. His friend may have been the enemy, but Haku was also the first friend he had ever lost. Even if they only knew each other for a few hours, it was still a horrible feeling, watching someone you called a friend die. Sasuke. Sakura, Kakashi hissed at the only kunoichi on Team 7. Let's not draw any more attention to our little group. Forming the tiger seal, the copy ninja created a single shadow clone next to him. Tazuna, my clone is going to carry you back to your home. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, don't slow down until we get back to the house. Why, sensei? Sakura asked as Tazuna squawked, being lifted on clone Kakashi's back. His indignation only lasted for a few seconds before Team 7 began running. The bad guys are fighting against each other now. Yes, they are. But we don't know what's going to happen when their fight is over. The house will be more easily defendable than being out in the open. Kakashi explained as they reached the end of the bridge and jumped into the trees, hopping through the branches. Zabuza will win. Kakashi looked over his shoulder as the bridge vanished behind the leaves. But what will he do after? Without Gato paying him, the demon of the mist had no reason to come after the bridge builder other than pride. As a missing Nin, the swordsman lived off mission payments, having rumors circulating that he couldn't complete a mission would make employers wary of hiring him. Even with the man's terrifying reputation. All we can do now is wait. Kakashi-sensei, are you sure it's safe? Sakura twisted her hands nervously together as the Naruto and Sasuke stretched in the living room. Maybe we should wait another day, just in case Zabuza tries to attack. Sighing, Kakashi flipped to the next page in his book. He understood Sakura's fear. She was just a genin and should have never been on an A-rank mission fighting against opponents like Zabuza. But does she have to ask the same question over and over? She was a kunoichi, and acting scared in front of their clients was not what a ninja did. If they were going to attack, it would have been yesterday after their battle on the bridge. I'm sure they've left the country by now. But just in case. Turning to the loudest of his genin, Kakashi lowered his book, his one visible eye turning up in a smile. Naruto, stay here and protect Tazuna's family. In case someone comes after Tsunami and Inari. Kakashi had expected shouts of anger and cries of disbelief from Naruto detailing the many reasons as to why he shouldn't be left behind and how he was the strongest, so he should be protecting the client. What he didn't expect was a silent nod and his knucklehead student to take a seat on the couch without so much as a word. Strange. Naruto was being unusually quiet. I'll have to talk to him when the mission is over. Chapter 2. Disclaimer: I do not own Naruto. Zabuza Momoichi? Sarutobi puffed on his pipe, exhaling a cloud of smoke as he eyed the four ninjas before him. These kids should have never gone through that. An A-rank mission for their first outside the village. It was lucky they weren't all dead. And if their sensei had been anyone other than Kakashi, they would have died. The Leaf had strong jonin, but protecting the client and 3 genin against one of the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist would be a feat not many could accomplish. However, he wasn't worried about Kakashi, it was the genin that he was concerned about. The village had their mission ranks for a reason, not only to prepare ninja physically but also mentally. Kakashi's report mentioned that Sasuke had succumbed to Zabuza's killing intent, nearly on the verge of ending his own life to escape the feeling before Kakashi stopped him. That was why genin didn't usually take missions beyond C rank. Even a prodigy like Sasuke, whose combat skills were exceptional, wasn't prepared to handle missions that Chunin and Jonin took. Hi, Hokage-sama. Kakashi nodded, not looking up from his little orange book. After Gato refused to pay him, he and his partner left the bridge builder alone. Tazuna finished the bridge and we returned to the village. I hope his report is more detailed than that. Sarutobi thought, watching Naruto, who was acting so much different than he had before his mission. He even looked different. The bottom half of his orange jumpsuit was still in place, but the bulky jacket was gone, leaving Naruto in just a short-sleeved blue shirt. His signature grin was gone as well. The boy was still smiling, but it was small and obviously forced. A mask to hide what he truly feels. Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha were different as well, but it wasn't as obvious as Naruto's change. Sakura still stared at Sasuke for most of the time, but her eyes shot to Naruto every now and then, something that hadn't been there before. And Sasuke, he had changed the least. Not surprising given what he had experienced during the massacre of his clan. Naruto, Sasuke, Sakura, Kakashi said, grabbing the attention of his students. Why don't you 3 head home for now? You all can have tomorrow off, but meet at our usual spot 2 days from 8 am sharp. Don't be late. I don't want to hear that from you. Naruto shouted, pointing a finger at his sensei. You're always late. Naruto, just leave it. Sakura sighed, rubbing her head. You're giving me a headache with all your yelling. The pink-haired kunoichi glared at her shorter teammate before smiling and turning around. Sasuke, do you dash? Huh, where'd he go? He went that way. Kakashi thumbed at the door and Sakura took off, leaving Naruto behind. Sasuke, wait for me. I thought she had a headache. Kakashi's sweat dropped at the screeching Sakura was doing. For someone who didn't like Naruto being loud, she sure was loud herself. I'm going head to Ichiraku's. See ya, old man. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto said and jumped out the open window. Watching the spot where Naruto had previously been standing, Sarutobi leaned back in his chair, letting another puff of smoke cross his lips. Kakashi. Kakashi nodded. I know, Hokage-sama. I'll keep a closer eye on them. 4974984999. Slamming his fist into the wooden training post he had been working on since morning, Naruto counted the last punch. 500. Hands bloodied and with his face covered in a sheen of sweat, he let his arms fall to his sides. He couldn't even feel them anymore. It was like they had been replaced with noodles. That just means it's working. If it didn't hurt, he wasn't working hard enough. Turning his body, he kicked the post with his right leg. 123. 200 kicks with each leg. He wouldn't leave the training ground until he finished. Even if it takes all night. He had to get stronger. The Chunin exams were close, and with them, strong opponents would come. There was no way he would be able to fight Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. It would be years before he could fight on par with the Sannin. But what he could do was fight the Rain Ninja and the Sound Trio. I can kick Neji and Gaara's butts too. Things would be different this time around. He didn't know how he was going to do it, but he would protect everyone. Hidden in the trees, Kakashi watched his student with a concerned frown. It had been days since they returned from Wave Country, and while team missions had progressed the same, which was none, Naruto had been working himself to the bone every day after he dismissed them. Every day he worked harder and harder, doing hundreds of punches, kicks, squats, push-ups, and laps. Any training method a genin could think of, Naruto was doing it, and to a degree, that was becoming dangerous. If he works himself any harder, he's going to burn out. But what could he say? He didn't think Naruto would listen if he said not to train so hard. Konoha's #1, hyperactive, knuckle-headed ninja was too stubborn to do anything less than the maximum. It just wasn't in the kid's nature. With him, it's always going to be all or nothing. That was just the way Naruto was molded. If I tell them about the Chunin exams, yes, that could work. He had been planning on nominating them anyway, and if he thought there was a big test coming up, then Naruto would listen when he told them to take it easy before the test. I'll tell them tomorrow. That would give them 3 days of rest before the first exam. He would just have to make sure that Naruto understood that training as hard as he did might cost them during the exams. The next day, gathered on the bridge at Training Ground 7, Sakura glared at the empty place where Naruto was usually standing. First Kakashi-sensei, and now Naruto too. Why do we have to have a teammate and sensei who are late? Grunting, Sasuke turned his head away from Sakura, ending whatever conversation she was trying to start. She was annoying on her best day, and without Naruto as a buffer, she was worse than usual. The dope had the right idea. If Kakashi wasn't going to bother showing up on time, why should they? Standing here is a waste of time. Walking onto the bridge, Naruto waved at his teammates. Sakura, Sasuke, good morning. Naruto, you idiot! Sakura wheeled around to face her second teammate. You're late. I was only half an hour late, Sakura. Naruto pouted. Besides, Kakashi-sensei's not here yet, so I'm still early. Thanks to his future knowledge, Naruto knew that Kakashi-sensei wouldn't be showing up for another 2 hours at least. Naruto. You're late. Kakashi appeared in a puff of smoke, crouching on the railing of the bridge. It's not polite to keep people waiting, you know. Sticking out his tongue, Naruto folded his arms behind his head and leaned back. I don't want to hear something like that from someone like you, Kakashi-sensei. Underneath his mocking words and playful face, Naruto frowned at his teacher. Why is he early? Considering how late Kakashi-sensei usually was, him showing up now was like a normal person being early. And the timing was suspicious too. Was he following me? How else would he show up right after he did? And if his teacher was following him, did he see him training as well? Why not help if he was watching? Sure, he didn't actually need to be taught, but it would be nice to have an excuse for when he kicked ass in the Chunin exams when people started asking questions. Because telling them he trained alone wasn't going to cut it forever. And it would be nice to have more jutsu to use. His only offensive moves were the Rasengan and Shadow Clones. I can't use the Rasengan until Jiraiya comes back to the village. So that left him with his Shadow Clones and his improving taijutsu. Which just wasn't going to cut it. This time had to be different. He wasn't going to just rely on the Nine Tails chakra to get him through the tough scrapes. His own power needed to be enough, or everything would be for nothing. If he couldn't protect the village and his friends with his own 2 hands, he was worthless. Naruto, are you listening? Huh? Looking away from the clouds in the sky, Naruto blinked at the sheet of paper being shoved in his face. Squinting, he read the words printed in black. The Chunin exams? Cool. Cool? Kakashi frowned as Naruto took the nomination slip from his hands. That's it. No shouting, no exclamations of being the best. Just cool. Naruto shrugged. He could have tried to act excited, but Kakashi-sensei would probably be able to see through the false act. There just wasn't enough in him to fake being happy about what was about to come. His team, the village, the old man. The Chunin exams destroyed them all. Well, anyway, in 3 days, if you want to participate, meet outside the academy at 7 am. Bye. Kakashi waved and used the body flicker to vanish, leaving a cloud of smoke in his wake. I'm leaving, Sasuke said before Sakura could open her mouth. Watching her crush leave with sad eyes, Sakura turned around to ask Naruto why he was late, but frowned when he was nowhere to be found. Where'd he go? Naruto sure has been acting weird since we go back from our mission. The idiot still acted like a fool during missions, always trying to beat her Sasuke-kun. But he wasn't as loud as he used to be, and he hadn't been trying to get her to go out with him anymore either. Actually, he practically ignored her outside of training and missions. Not that she cared, it was just weird. Walking through the village, Naruto swung the bags he was carrying at his side. Thanks to the paycheck he got for his first A rank and the use of transformation jutsu, he had gotten what he needed for the Chunin exams. It was a long list, and the sun was already close to setting, so he missed a day of training, but that was alright. With the Chunin exams the day after tomorrow, he had to conserve his energy. After the first test, the 5 days in the Forest of Death wouldn't be easy even with his stamina. And with everything that was going to happen inside the forest, he needed to be at his best. Anything less and he was putting not only his life on his line but Sakura and Sasuke's too. Inside the forest, it had been one thing after another attacking them, and if he was tired then any one of those things could kill him and his team. Future knowledge or not. Hey boss. Play ninja with us? Huh. Turning around, Naruto grinned. He had forgotten about this. Waving at the 3 academy students running up to him, he smiled at the goggles adorning their foreheads. He was only 12 and already had disciples. Sure, Konohamaru. He patted the Hokage's grandson on his head and looked at the other 2 kids with him. Moegi Udan, are you gonna play too? You know our names? Moegi asked, ducking her head and digging her toes into the sand, a blush covering her cheeks. Of course, Naruto gave a thumbs up with his free hand. You're Konohamaru's friends and that makes you my friend. Now, who gets to be the ninja first? A ninja playing ninja? Sakura mocked, walking up to her teammate. How pathetic. Honestly, Naruto was going to make Team 7 look like a joke. What kind of ninja played being a ninja? A loser, that's what. It was obvious that Naruto finally understood he wasn't a real ninja, not like Sasuke-kun, and he was making up for it by playing with kids who hadn't even graduated. Don't be like that, Sakura, Naruto frowned. He had forgotten how bitchy Sakura used to be before Tsunade took her as her student. Konohamaru just wants to play. Besides, I'm going to be taking it pretty easy on training until the Chunin exams. You don't take it seriously anyway, Naruto. You were late this morning. Sakura scolded, setting her hands on her hips. What kind of ninja is always late? Our sensei. Naruto's sweat dropped. Where had she been since they graduated? Hey boss, Konohamaru grinned mischievously, holding up his pinky. Is this your girlfriend? Sakura gagged. As if that wasn't necessary. Naruto frowned as Sakura continued to fake puke at the thought of being in a relationship with him. She could have just said no. He wasn't the only one who thought that she was taking it too far either. I was just joking, Konohamaru glared at the pink-haired lady who thought she was too good for the boss. Why would someone like our boss who is cool and awesome date someone like you? Maybe if your chest was as big as your forehead. What did you say, you runt? Raising a fist, Sakura charged at Konohamaru, who screamed and turned tail, running as fast as he could. This lady is crazy. Running as fast as his short legs could carry him, Konohamaru ducked onto the next street, looking over his shoulder as the pink-haired monster got closer. He had to get away. That hurt. Falling on his butt, Konohamaru looked up at what he ran into. Sorry, I was Rounding the corner, Naruto frowned, coming to a stop. Hey, he said he was sorry. Put him down. He ran into me, and it hurt quite a bit. I need to teach the brat a lesson. Kankuro said, gripping Konohamaru's scarf tighter in his hand. Just let it go, Kankuro. Tamari rolled her eyes at her little brother. Why was he always causing problems? It was embarrassing, and if Gaara found out. Walking forward, Naruto sighed at the way his friend's siblings were acting. He didn't really know either Tamari or Kankuro in the future other than in passing. What he did know was that they would be attacking the village, and he couldn't let his friendship with future Gaara interfere with protecting the village. I'll take them down when the time comes. At least that way they would still be alive when it was all over. Shame I have to hurt her though. He thought, his eyes roving over Tamari. It wasn't his fault he was looking. After 3 years with Jiraiya, and now there was a beautiful blonde in a short skirt showing thigh in front of him, what was he supposed to do? Seeing the blonde boy's gaze drop lower and lower, Tamari reached behind her for her fan. Is this pervert checking me out? Snapping out of his trance when his eyes reached Tamari's sandals, Naruto shook his head. Now wasn't the time for that. Konohamaru was waiting for him to come to the rescue. I'm telling you, you should really let him go. If the Hokage finds out foreign shinobi attacked his grandson, he won't be happy. Grandson? Tamari, Kankuro, and Sakura all looked at the brown-haired boy in shock. What would have happened to them if they had really hurt the brat? Kankuro put him down. A swirl of sand appeared behind the 2 sand genin. You're an embarrassment to our village. Gaara. Dropping Konohamaru immediately, the puppeteer took a step away from his little brother. We were just. Gaara stared at his brother, his green eyes made more pronounced by the black circles surrounding them. Shut up. Or I'll kill you. Gaara. Naruto grinned at his red-headed friend and fellow Jinchuriki. It was strange seeing him act like he did before, but he was glad to see him alive again. Not healthy, but alive. That was the important thing. I can help him again, and everything will be alright. What is your name? Gaara asked, focusing on Naruto. Mother is screaming because of you. Naruto Uzumaki. Around the 2 Jinchuriki, their teammates watched the stare-off, the sand genin in concern and Sakura in distaste. Why was Naruto trying to act cool like Sasuke? He wasn't cool, and it only made him look dumb when he tried. And who was the weird kid with the tattoo on his forehead? What a weirdo. Who does something like that to themselves? Naruto Uzumaki. I'm going to kill you. Naruto smiled as Gaara turned away, his siblings following him as he left. I look forward to our fight, Gaara. And he really did. Their fight would be the catalyst for a better life for Gaara, who would go on to become Kazekage and loved by his village. Something Naruto himself had failed to do. Naruto, don't antagonize them. Sakura slammed her fist down on Naruto's head. Cha, that idiot. Now they were going to have some lunatic after them during the exams. Great, just great. Good going, Naruto. Cradling his head in his hands, Naruto hissed at the throbbing pain. What was Sakura's problem? She didn't do this when Sasuke talked to Gaara. Boss, are you okay? I'm fine. Naruto stood up, grinning, surprising the three kids. I can't let my disciples see me like that. Patting Konohamaru on the head, he grinned. Now, who's ready to play? It seems your plan worked, Kakashi. Watching his grandsons run around the village through his crystal ball, Sarutobi, a small smile on his face. He had been worried when Kakashi reported how drastically Naruto's training habits had changed, and having spied on the boy one day, he had seen for himself how damaging they were becoming. It was good to want to grow stronger, but the way Naruto was pushing himself, training until his hands and shins were nothing but bruises and running laps until he collapsed. Even with the Kyuubi's healing powers, it would have been dangerous to let him continue down that path. I'm hoping this will last until the exams are over, Kakashi said, watching his student finally acting like he had before Wave. He didn't want to admit it, even to himself, but he knew Naruto was never going to be the same again. His view on where he stood in the shinobi world had crumbled during his first mission outside the village. Zabuza could have killed him 10 times over before he could even blink. And Naruto knew that. It was why he was pushing himself so hard. And after? The third asked, reaching for his pipe. I'm hoping that the exams show him that he is not as weak as he thinks he is. I haven't even let him spar with Sasuke since we returned, Kakashi sighed, taking a seat on the couch in the Hokage's office. Losing to who he sees as a rival would only reinforce his belief that he needs to train harder. And you believe Naruto will place well in the exams? Kakashi nodded, his eye turning up in a smile. He might not be promoted, but I think he'll surprise more than a few people with his strength. Maybe even himself. Today is the day. In his small one-room apartment, sitting on his bed, bare-chested Naruto wrapped white bandages around his hands and forearms, covering the bruises and scars on his knuckles. Standing up, he grabbed the black t-shirt laying on his bed and pulled it over his head, covering his torso. The Chunin exams had finally arrived. Pulling on his gray shinobi sandals, he pulled the strap tight and tucked his black pants into them before wrapping his ankles with bandages to keep the pants from coming loose. Strapping his kunai holster to his thigh, he then tied 2 pouches to the back of his pants. Miniature storage scrolls inside the pouches held everything he would need for the Chunin exams. And last but not least, tilting his head down, he twisted the ends of forehead protector into a knot, securing it on his head before standing up from his bed and walking to the open window. It was time to begin plan change everything bad that happened. Sasuke, you came! Running up to her crush, Sakura tucked a strand of hair she had moved out of place earlier behind her ear. Grunting, Sasuke ghosted past his teammate, not even sparing her a glance. Today was too important to be distracted by Sakura's incessant and annoying flirting. He had to focus on the Chunin exams. Well, it looks like it's just going to be us taking the exam. Sakura pouted, but inside she was cheering. Cha, alone time with Sasuke. Naruto finally did something right. Naruto will be here, Sasuke said, stopping at the door to the academy and leaning against the wall, closing his eyes. The exam doesn't start for another 10 minutes. He'll be here by then. No way is he going to miss this. As annoying as the loser was, it seemed like Naruto was the only one who took being a shinobi seriously. Kakashi was always late and Sakura always did the bare minimum in training so she wouldn't get sweaty and ugly. It was a joke. Sakura, Sasuke. Naruto jumped down from the academy roof, landing between his 2 teammates. Are you guys ready to kick all the asses inside? Smirking, Sasuke kicked off the wall. You're cutting it close, Naruto. Trying to be like Kakashi? Yeah, right. Naruto grinned. I could say the same to you, Sasuke. You barely beat me here. Shut up, Naruto. Sakura yelled, swinging a fist at Naruto, who ducked out of the way. Don't make fun of Sasuke-kun. And there goes the atmosphere. Naruto sighed as Sasuke scowled and opened the door to the academy, heading inside, leaving him and Sakura outside. But only for a second before Sakura went running after him, leaving Naruto by himself. Watching the pink-haired Kunoichi chase after his rival, Naruto frowned. He had been feeling different about Sakura since he got back. It was strange that his thoughts on his crush were changing so quickly. Maybe it was because despite his young body he was older and more mature, but his teammate just didn't look the same when he saw her. She was mean and petty, and as much as he didn't want to say it, not ninja material. Of course, she would grow into a strong kunoichi under Tsunade's tutelage. He knew that, but it didn't stop him from feeling angry every time she ruined the team's dynamic to try and appease Sasuke. Like just a second ago, he and Sasuke were having a good time throwing jabs at each other. They weren't serious, the insults were just how they talked. Sasuke was even smiling or smirking until Sakura interjected herself into the conversation. In the past he would have blamed Sasuke, probably even made his thoughts vocal, which would have made things even worse. Things were different now though, he was different. He could see Sakura ignoring him, for Sasuke wasn't his rival's fault. And being better than everyone else wasn't Sasuke's fault either. I blamed him for my own faults. It was childish, and Naruto was glad he had a chance to fix the mistakes he made in the past. Maybe this time he could keep Orochimaru from getting Sasuke. Not that Sasuke was blameless, but Naruto had to work on himself before he tried helping Sasuke. Naruto, get in here, I'm not going to be late because of you. Sighing, he shoved his hands into his pockets and trudged into the room, doing his best to ignore the glare he was getting from Sakura. Ha, you want to take the exam with those skills? You should just quit now. Walking with his teammates, Naruto grinned at the genin sitting on the floor holding his face. Lee. Please, just let us through. Tenten. Naruto shook his head as the weapon mistress was knocked to the ground beside bushy brows as the disguised Chunins explained how they had failed 3 times. Those that take this exam and end up quitting as shinobi, those that die in the exam, we've seen it all. The failure of a mission, the death of a comrade, that is all the captain's responsibility. And Chunin often becomes captains of military teams. Yet kids like you think you can pass? They were really laying it on thick. Naruto folded his arms and looked up at the ceiling. Any minute now Sasuke would demand the genjutsu be dropped, and then he would be attacked and bushy brows would stop it. As things started playing out the way he knew they would, Naruto debated whether or not to get involved. Sakura, Sasuke looked to his teammate. As the one who improved her analytical abilities and genjutsu the most, you must have noticed first, right? Of course. We're only on the 2nd floor. Naruto grinned as Sasuke glanced at him, showing he knew the genjutsu had been there as well. Sasuke smirked and turned back to Sakura, who was explaining to the rest of the genin about the illusion. Maybe I should have stopped him from saying anything, Naruto thought, as most of the gathered applicants ignored Sakura and headed for the stairs. It would have thinned out the herd, but it would have also changed things. Which was what he came back to do, but it would be too risky to change the Chunin exams. He needed the future to be as he knew it to get his team through and save the old man. Knocked from his thoughts by a gust of wind ruffling his clothes, Naruto decided to just head forward to the 3rd floor. He already knew what was going to happen and none of it involved him. Naruto, why didn't you wait for us? Sakura seethed, trying to help Sasuke walk but having her efforts constantly brushed off. All she wanted to do was help. She giggled, her cheeks going red. And maybe have Sasuke's body up against mine. Bushy brows wanted to fight Sasuke, not me, Naruto said with a shrug. Besides, I watched the fight from over here. And from what I saw, the Uchiha clan isn't all it's cracked up to be. Naruto. Sakura clenched her fists, her blush vanishing as she glared at Naruto. What was that jerk doing saying something like that? Beside her, Sasuke growled. Sasuke, don't listen to him. He's just an idiot, she said, reaching for his hand. Don't patronize me. Sasuke tore his hand away and marched forward past Naruto to the exam room. I'll beat him next time. Naruto continued, disregarding Sakura's shushing hisses and angry glare. Didn't you see his hands? He trains, probably more than you. That's all it is. PFT, Sasuke smirked. This thing is getting fun. This Chunin exam. Clenching his fist, the Uchiha Avenger raised his head. Are you ready to go? Naruto, Sakura. Hell yeah! Naruto cheered, punching the air. It's like I said outside. We're going to kick every ass in this place. And become Chunin. Walking forward, the group stopped as they turned the last corner and saw their sensei waiting for them. Oh, so Sakura came too. Now we can properly take the exams. What do you mean, sensei? Sakura asked in surprise. Why would it matter if she had chosen to show up or not? The truth is that this test can only be taken by teams of 3. Sakura frowned. She could have ruined Sasuke's chances of becoming Chunin. There were so many times that she tried to talk herself out of showing up. You said taking the exams was an individual choice. You lied to us? Kakashi smiled. If I told the truth, Naruto or Sasuke would have pressured you to take the exam. Even if you didn't want to, if Sasuke asked you, you would. For the sake of Sasuke. So if only Naruto and Sasuke had shown up, the exam would have ended for them, right here. But you came of your own free will. You guys are my proud team, now get going. TCH, Kakashi sure knows how to give a speech. Naruto thought, watching Sakura change from depressed to determined. He hadn't caught it last time, but she had looked ready to cry when Kakashi said the exam could only be taken by teams of 3. Then let's go. He shouted and shoved the double doors leading into the exam room open, forcing them open. What? Sakura gasped at all the gathered shinobi. There were so many. And they all looked so much older than her team. Sasuke-kun, you're late. Ino Yamanaka jumped onto Sasuke's shoulders, holding tight and rubbing her cheek against his. I haven't seen you for a while, so I've been waiting in excitement. Get of Sasuke-kun, Ino pig. Ino looked up from Sasuke and at her rival, a bored look on her face. Oh, if it isn't Billboard Brow. What is someone like you doing here? What did you just say, piggy? Naruto tuned out the bickering of the two girls and waved to the other rookies. Shikamaru, you're taking this test too? I didn't think I'd see a lazy guy like you here. You know what, Naruto? Shikamaru shouted before sighing. You're not even worth all the effort it would take to get angry. Grinning at the familiar words, Naruto looked at the other rookies taking the exam. Shikamaru Nara, from Team 10, a lazy bum who's always complaining about something. Choji Akimichi, also from Team 10, a big bone ninja who is always eating something. And the last member of Team 10, Ino Yamanaka, always fighting with Sakura because they're rivals. She's quite pretty even now. Naruto stifled a giggle watching Ino longer than he had her teammates. She had grown up to be quite a stunner, and even now still skinny and budding, she was quite easy on the eyes. Mostly around the face, since she was still growing. Not that the rest of her wasn't nice to look at. She definitely more developed than Sakura, but she was no Hinata. Hello, and Naruto-kun. Hinata Hyuga, member of Team 8, and the heir to the Hyuga clan. A shy but beautiful girl. Speak of the devil. Naruto beamed at the Hyuga heiress. She was still wearing her baggy tan jacket, and less baggy but not form-fitting pants. No one could tell she was bigger than the other girls in all the right places. No one but me. His smile widened as the memory of her under the waterfall came to mind. Oh yeah, Hinata had it going. Hey, Hinata-chan, Shino, dog breath. What did you call me? Kiba Inuzuka, member of Team 8, and even louder than him. Always acting like he was the boss. You guys should keep it down. You're attracting quite a bit of attention. Kabuto. Naruto hissed the name inside his head. The traitor was smiling and fixing his glasses like nothing was wrong. No one but him knew he was working with Orochimaru. Too bad I can't get rid of him in the forest. The medic Nin was still too strong for him to beat. If they fought, he would lose, and Kauto would be suspicious of him for knowing that he was a spy. I have to let him go for now. Maybe he could come up with a way to get him out of the picture during the test. If a chance cropped up, he would take it, but he couldn't afford to tip his hand. If Kabuto even suspected him of knowing his true allegiance, then he'd probably be killed. Orochimaru wanted Sasuke. His underlings wouldn't hesitate in killing anyone else. Hey Naruto, don't be so down. Huh? Naruto blinked and looked around. Everyone in the room was staring at the rookies from the leaf. Oh right. This was where he declared he was going to beat everyone. Alright, listen up. Pointing his finger out, he trailed it over the room. Everyone I just pointed at is going to get their asses kicked by yours truly. Naruto Uzumaki from Team 7. Not exactly the same, but close enough. Naruto, you idiot! Sakura grabbed him by the collar and pulled his face up to hers. What the hell is wrong with you? You're going to get us killed. Everyone is going to come after us. Good. More strong people for me to fight. Sasuke seemed to agree as he nodded in approval to the plan. That's enough. A booming voice called from the front of the room, dragging the attention away from Naruto. A huge smoke cloud had enveloped the front of the room and dissipated, revealing the group of proctors. The lead man, Ibiki Moreno, head of the ANBU torture squad, stepped forward. I am Ibiki Moreno, the examiner for the Chunin exam's first test. Now, you hidden sound genin, you want to be eliminated before the first test even begins? I apologize, Dosu, if Naruto remembered correctly, said. It's our first time. We're excited. Oh right. The sound trio had attacked Kabuto because of what he said about their village being new and small. Looking around, Naruto spotted Orochimaru's henchman getting to his feet and wiping the blood from his chin. Damn. Can't believe I missed that. He needed to start paying more attention when things were going on. Bah, this is good a time as any to say this then. There will be no fighting without the permission of the examiner. And if permission is given, killing your opponent will not be tolerated. Ibiki glared at every candidate in the room. Do I make myself clear? Of course, sir. Dosa nodded. You see these? Ibiki held up a stack of small white papers. Instead of the seats you're in now, each of you will take one of these tabs and sit at the desk with the number you chose. Get moving! After all the genin hopefuls had taken their seats, Ibiki continued. Don't turn your tests over. Listen closely to what I'm about to say. There are many important rules to the first test. I will write them on the board as I explain, but questions are not allowed. Stretching back in his seat, Naruto tuned Ibiki's voice out. He already knew the rules, how to pass the test, and what he had to do to make sure his team passed. The first test was going to be a breeze. I'm worried about the second test. That would be where the real challenge of changing the future began. This kid, Ibiki thought, watching the blonde-haired leaf genin. Cool as a cucumber. There wasn't so much as a twitch from the boy, showing that he was worried. From the moment he sat down, he had been smiling, and it hadn't faded at all. Even now, with only 15 minutes left, and the 10th question, he just sat there. 2M, sorry guys. I can't. Number 50, fail. Naruto, why don't you just raise your hand? Holding hands to her heart, Sakura stared at the back of her teammate's head. He was always doing this. Trying to act cool, but this time was different. I'm going to become Hokage. I don't care what it takes. He couldn't accomplish his dream if he got the 10th question wrong. Yet, he was too stubborn to just raise his hand. I don't want to see his dream crushed. Naruto might be a loser, but he was also her teammate. There is always next year. Pulling one hand away from her chest, she started to raise it. If Naruto couldn't do it, she would give up for him. Ha! Who do you think you are, huh? Naruto? Lowering her hand, Sakura watched in disbelief as Naruto climbed onto his desk and pointed at the proctor. What is this idiot doing? If you think you can scare me with words, you got another thing coming. Naruto was all smiles as he stared Ibiki down. Maybe he was overdoing it a little by getting on top of his desk, but hey, go big or go home. I don't care if I'm a genin forever, I will still become Hokage. Glancing around discreetly, Naruto saw his fellow genin calm down. Hands were lowered and bodies had stopped shaking. Counting the number of genin still in the room, his lips stretched even wider. 26 teams? Same as last time. I'll ask one last time. Your life is riding on this decision. This is your last chance to quit. My unbending will won't allow me to. I don't ever give up. That's my ninja way. This brat. Ibiki looked around the room. Uzumaki's words had already affected the atmosphere. He could see it in the eyes of every candidate still in the room. Not a single one more was going to leave. Stretching this any longer won't make a difference. To everyone still remaining, Ibiki paused just to see if anyone would panic at the last moment. As he expected, no one did. I congratulate you all on passing the first test. Sitting back down in his seat, Naruto nodded as the questions began, demanding where the 10th question was and how could they have been passed without answering it. Ibiki went on to explain why the test was the way it was, and Naruto agreed wholeheartedly. Even before seeing the scars on Ibiki's head again. The first test of the Chunin exam was even more important than the second and third. To be a shinobi, you had to make hard choices. Had to be willing to sacrifice your life for the mission. Ibiki focused on information, but the test focused on far more than just that. If you weren't willing to risk everything for something other than yourself, then you shouldn't be a shinobi. Those who can't put their destinies on the line, who cling to their is always next year and walk away from their chance. Those pieces of trash that can only make cowardly decisions don't deserve to become Chunin. The ones that chose to take it answered the 10th question correctly. You will be able to survive any troubles you face in the future. Ibiki smiled, tying his head back in place, covering the scars and burn marks on his head. You all have made it through the entrance. The first test of the Chunin selection exam is now finished. Now Naruto-kun, we passed. Hinata whispered, a bright blush on her face. We did it. You're damn right we did it. Naruto leaned over and wrapped an arm around Hinata's shoulders, dragging her in close. We're one step closer to becoming Chunin, baby. Yeah. Naruto-kun is hugging me. Hinata's face had gone completely cherry. She was being held by Naruto-kun. Pressed against Naruto-kun with Naruto-kun's arm around her. She couldn't take it. There was just too much Naruto-kun at once. I'm going to faint. Right as his vision began getting dark, Naruto pulled away as the window on the side of the room shattered. Not this one. Ibiki's sweat dropped as a black sheet blocked his view of the candidates. Guys, now is not the time to be celebrating. I am the examiner for the second test. The sexy and single Anko Mitarashi. Now let's go. You're definitely sexy, alright. Naruto giggled as Anko punched the air, forcing her jacket to spread open, revealing her mesh-covered chest. How had he missed this show the first time? Does Naruto-kun like that type of clothing? Hinata asked herself when she saw where Naruto's eyes were focused and how he wiped above his lip when no one was looking. Glancing down at her own chest, she frowned. Hers weren't as big as Anko's, but they were bigger than Sakura's and Ino's. If I dressed like that, would Naruto-kun notice me? Counting the kitties left in the room, Anko laughed as Ibiki came around the curtain she hung up for her awesome entrance. 78 left, Ibiki. You must be getting soft. Or this year is a more promising group. Whatever, Anko waved a dismissive hand. I'll eliminate at least half of them in the second test. Now I'll explain what the second test is after we change locations. Follow me. Sasuke smirked as the proctor jumped back out the window she came through. If at least half of the 26 teams left were going to be eliminated, there had to be fighting in the second test. Things are starting to get excited. As the genin followed Anko out the window, Naruto waited in his seat next to Hinata. He knew it was coming. The second test and with it Orochimaru. But planning on how to escape from a Sannin alive wasn't the same as actually doing it. The snake summoner had crushed them thoroughly, and he could still remember the battle between all three legendary ninjas when he and Jiraiya went to retrieve Tsunami. Orochimaru didn't even have arms, and Jiraiya and Tsunade still couldn't get him. Naruto, hurry up. Are you trying to make us miss the second test? It's not a bad idea. If Naruto thought for a second that Orochimaru wouldn't go after Sasuke outside the Forest of Death, he wouldn't have shown up at all. But no way was the snake going to let Sasuke go that easy. Standing up from his chair, he waved goodbye to Hinata, who was still bright red, and jumped out the window. It was time to change the future. Training Ground 44. Welcome to the stage for the second test, Practice Area 44. Anko held out her arms to the massive forest behind her. The danger and warning signs were obviously a good touch as she saw some of the genin gulp and others start to shake. Let's see how they like the name. Also known as the Forest of Death. This is creepy, Sakura whispered beside Naruto, taking a step back so she was behind Sasuke-kun. He would protect her. Anko smiled, dropping her arms, and sadistic grin splitting her face. You all will soon find out why it is called the Forest of Death. You will find out why it's called the Forest of Death. Naruto mocked with a scoff and a smile when he saw Anko twitch. I'm not afraid of some stupid forest with a dumb name. Faster than anyone could see, Anko had a kunai in her hand and was behind Naruto, holding it to his throat as blood ran down his cheek. Kids like you usually die first in here. Shivering as a tongue was pressed softly against his cheek, Naruto closed his eyes as it followed the trail of blood to the cut Anko had made. Spraying that red blood I love, Anko said before she pulled the kunai from Naruto's neck and pointed it at the tongue hanging over her shoulder. Your kunai. Naruto clenched his fist, glancing at the grass nin that was really Orochimaru before looking away and fake gagging. Most would think it was because the extended tongue disgusted, which was true. But if he had to look at the snake bastard a second longer, he was going to try and stab the bastard. And that wouldn't end well for anyone involved. Thank you, Anko took the kunai with a smile. But don't sneak up behind me unless you want to die. Sorry, the blood, it just gets me excited. Orochimaru pulled his tongue back into his mouth. And you cut my precious hair. I couldn't let you get away with that. Looks like we got a lot of bloodthirsty ones this year. Hee hee hee, Anko chuckled, walking back to the front of the group. This should be fun. Yeah, right. Naruto held his hand to his face to stop the bleeding from his cut. The next 5 days would be anything but fun. Anko reached into her jacket and pulled out a stack of paper, waving them in the air so everyone could see. Now, before we start the second test, I have to pass these out. These are consent forms you must sign if you want to take the second test. There are going to be deaths, and if I don't have you sign these, you dying will be my responsibility. I'm going to explain the second test, then you can sign them afterward. And then each team will check in at the booth over there. Taking the stack of forms from Anko, Naruto kept one for himself and handed the stack off as Anko began explaining the second test. The second test will be survival. Around Practice Area 44 there are 44 locked gates. Inside the gates are forest, river, and a tower in the center. The length between each gate and the tower is about 10 kilometers. During the test, you will be asked to complete one task. Using your many weapons and jutsu, you will compete in a no-rules scroll battle. Scroll? Yes, Anko nodded, reaching into her jacket and pulling 2 scrolls out, each emblazoned with a different symbol. You will fight over these 2 scrolls. Heaven and Earth. There are 26 teams who pass the first test. Half will get the Heaven scroll and the other half will get Earth. To pass this test, a full team of 3 needs to reach the tower with both Heaven and Earth scrolls. There is also a time limit. The second test will last 120 hours, exactly 5 days. If you haven't reached the tower with both scrolls by that time, your team fails and you are out of the Chunin exams. 5 days. What about dinner? Anko shrugged. There is plenty to eat in the forest. Just watch out for man-eating beasts, poisonous plants, poisonous insects. Choji's head fell. He hadn't packed enough food for 5 days. 13 teams passing is unlikely. As the days go on, the distance to the goal gets farther, and the time to reach it grows shorter. And the area will be crawling with enemies, so don't expect to get much sleep. So not only will some of you fail by losing your scroll, others will die from the harshness of the course. Now I will talk about what will disqualify you. First, Anko held up her finger. If you don't make it to the tower with both scrolls in the 5-day time limit, you fail. Second, those who lose a teammate or get a teammate killed fail. Third, there will be no quitting once the test begins. You will be in the forest for 5 days. And the last rule, You must not look inside the scrolls until you reach the tower. What, why? Sakura asked, raising her hand. And what happens if you do? Ino tagged on, crossing her arms and glaring at Sakura, who stuck her tongue out. Anko grinned. That will be a surprise for anyone who does. But let's just say you don't want to know what the surprise is. Chunins can sometimes be asked to handle classified information. This part of the test will test your trustworthiness. That is it for explanations. Team, exchange your 3 forms for a scroll to choose a gate and get ready to start. Once you turn your forms and the test has begun. And there will be no quitting. So if you aren't willing to die, walk away now. Pushing through the genin teams, Naruto grabbed Sasuke and Sakura's hands, dragging to the booth. He needed to them to be one of the first teams to get their scroll. Naruto, will you calm down? Sakura said, trying to pull her hand away, but Naruto kept it in his until they were at the booth. Slamming his form down, he turned to Sasuke and Sakura expectantly. Give them your forms. Excited, loser? Sasuke asked, handing his form over. He wouldn't let his emotions show as clearly as Naruto, but he was just as excited as the knucklehead. A fight to the death meant no one was going to hold back. Strength would be what determined who passed and who failed. Naruto, give Sasuke-kun the scroll. Sakura snatched the heaven scroll Naruto had been given. Turning to her Sasuke-kun, she held it out. Here, Sasuke-kun, you're the strongest on the team, you should hold it. Keep it safe from the other teams. No way could they get it from you. Whatever. Taking the scroll, Sasuke slid it into his pouch and looked at Naruto, expecting some kind of resistance from the blonde. Sakura had just claimed that he was the strongest on the team. No way would Naruto let that slide. If you two are done, we need to get moving, Naruto said and started walking away. He wanted to put a little distance between his team and the others. Hey, Blondie! Freezing at Anko's voice, Naruto turned around slowly. Had she noticed? Idiot, of course, she noticed. She's a special jonin. Take your team to gate 2, Anko ordered, and Naruto nodded. So she hadn't seen. That was good. Breathing a sigh of relief, he nodded, kept walking. That was close. Sasuke and Sakura would have killed him if they had been disqualified before even entering the forest. That kid. Anko grinned as Naruto kept walking. She didn't say anything because the test had already started and it was out of her hands. But it was fun giving him a little scare. He's got balls though. Pulling something like that. Waiting in the Jonin lounge for the results of the first test, Kakashi read his Aika book. Across from him, Kurina Yuhi, the Jonin sensei of Team 8, and Asuma Sarutobi, the Jonin sensei of Team 9, were sitting quietly but sneaking glances at each other when they thought he wasn't looking. Kakashi, the door to the lounge opened, drawing the attention of all 3 Jonin. Walking into the room, Ibiki held up an almost blank sheet of paper for the gathered Jonin to see. You've got one gutsy kid for a student. Looking up from his book, Kakashi smiled, reading the name written on the sheet. Did Naruto surprise you, Ibiki? Naruto? Kurina Yuhi spoke up from her seat beside Asuma. Wasn't he the dead last of this year's graduating class? Ma, Kurinai-san, that's my student you're talking about, Kakashi said in his usual bored tone, but the lowering of his book and sharpening of his eye betrayed his disinterested tone. Sitting up straighter, Kurinai glared at the copy ninja. I don't insult kids, Hataki. It's just a fact that Naruto placed last in his class. Who did Kakashi think she was? She had never even met Naruto Uzumaki. There was no reason for her to dislike the boy, yet Kakashi was taking her words as an attack on the kid. I'm sure he didn't mean anything by it, Kurinai. With Naruto's circumstances, it's not surprising Kakashi is protective. That's not it, Asuma. Kakashi denied, shaking his head. Naruto is far more adept than most think. In fact, other than Sasuke and Guy's team, I'm not sure there is a genin in the leaf that can beat him. Asuma nearly choked on his cigarette in laughter, and Kurinai giggled, but Kakashi didn't mind. If they wanted to underestimate his most unpredictable student, then it would be their students that suffered the price. Forest of Death. Okay, we should be far enough now, Naruto said, landing on a branch and crouching down. Sasuke, Sakura. We should head straight for the tower. Landing on the same branch, Naruto stopped on Sakura, eyes burned with anger. Who put you in charge, idiot? Sasuke-kun already has a plan. Find another team and take their scroll. Weren't you listening to the examiner? We need both scrolls to pass. Cha, he is such an idiot. And we have both, Naruto said, confusing Sakura. Sasuke, however, understood what he was getting at and smirked. I was wondering why you were acting so weird back there. Shoving us to the front of the line, and wanting to get away from everyone. You stole an Earth Scroll, didn't you? Heh, standing up straight, Naruto swiped his thumb across his nose. Yeah, I did. And now Team 7 is going to be the first team to pass the second test. You idiot! Jumping up, Sakura slammed her fist down on Naruto's head, knocking him off the branch. That moron is going to get us disqualified. He cheated, and now we're cheaters too. Cha, if he ruins Sasuke-kun's chance to become Chunin, I'll crush him. Standing up, Sasuke brushed his white shorts off. Calm down, Sakura. Naruto stole the scroll after we turned in our forms. The proctor was very clear that once the forms were turned in the test had started, and we couldn't back out. What? Rolling his eyes, Sasuke had to wonder how she was the number one kunoichi in class. She tried to use it as a scare tactic by saying how once the test started we couldn't quit. Naruto took advantage of that, and used the rule in our favor. He didn't cheat, and we won't be disqualified. Oh. Sakura blinked, looking down into the bushes where Naruto had disappeared into. She felt a little bad for hitting him, but he was still an idiot for not telling them what he was up to. Sakura, why'd you have to go and do that? Naruto jumped back onto the branch, surprising Sakura, who jumped, but Sasuke narrowed his eyes. Naruto, about you steal. Sakura, shut up. Sasuke snapped, drawing a kunai and throwing it at Naruto, who dodged it, diving back into the bushes. Grabbing Sakura, who was still frozen, Sasuke jumped down after his teammate. What the heck was that for? Naruto asked the other two members of Team 7 as they landed on the forest floor. Where is the real Naruto? Sasuke pulled another kunai from his holster, flipping it into a reverse hold. I'll give it to you, this was a good plan, but it would have worked better if you did the transformation jutsu right. Naruto pulled his own kunai out and looked at Sakura. You better get away from him, Sakura. I think he's gone crazy. Heh, still sticking with it? Sasuke shook his head. Just give it up. You're even worse than the real Naruto at the transformation jutsu. Your kunai holster is on your left side, Naruto is right-handed. And you don't even have the scratch the examiner put on his cheek earlier. He's right. Sakura's eyes widened. This isn't the real Naruto. I'm only gonna ask one more time. Sasuke held his kunai up. Where is Naruto? Right here. Exploding out of the bush behind the rain ninja, Naruto kicked his imposter in the face, sending him at Sasuke, who spun, knocking the flying loser away with a roundhouse kick. Hitting a tree, Naruto was covered in a cloud of smoke as the transformation jutsu ended, revealing an unconscious rain ninja bleeding from the head. This looks cool. Naruto ran over to the rain genin and took the rebreather off the guy's face. Stuffing it into his pouch, he smirked. Kiba's poison smoke bombs won't work on me now. Naruto, that is disgusting. Sakura scrunched her nose up. There was no telling where that thing had been, and Naruto was just going to take it. You're not going to use it, are you? Naruto shrugged. Depends. If we fight someone who uses poison, then yeah, I'll end up using it. This guy was alone though, so I can't get one for you too. I don't want one. Listening to his two teammates bicker about the usefulness of the stolen item, Sasuke frowned. Naruto had been acting different since Wave, and this stunt just proved how different he was. The plan to steal an extra scroll at the start of the test was smart. Hell, he was even a little upset that he hadn't been the one who had thought of it. Naruto did though. The same Luz who always charged in first and asked questions later had come up with the plan within the short amount of time that it took that ankle woman to explain the test. Then executed it without being caught. We should get moving. He spoke up, silencing the bickering. Sakura clamped up immediately, and Naruto, without anyone to talk to, shut up as well. Thanks to Naruto we have both scrolls, so let's head straight to the tower. Great plan, Sasuke-kun. That was my plan, Naruto muttered as Sakura followed after Sasuke like a dog. She really needed to start acting like a kunoichi, and soon. He didn't know how much longer he could deal with her attitude. When they were kids it was fine, he didn't know any better, but now that he was older and seen what actually kunoichi was capable of, watching Sakura was pissing him off. She was supposed to be the best in their year, and she was making a mockery of all kunoichi, acting like she was waiting for Sasuke, her white knight, to save her and carry her off into the sunset. What a joke. Naruto thought, and didn't even feel bad for thinking it. Sure, he knew that his teammate would become strong in the future, but right now she was a joke of a ninja. After an hour of traveling through the trees, Sakura was sweating heavily and beginning to tire. Her legs burned from jumping so much, and her chest was heaving as her lungs tried to get more air than they could. I need a break. Alright, this is as good a spot as any, Sasuke said, and signaled for his teammates to follow him as he dropped down, landing underneath a canopy of branches. Listen, before this test is over we might be separated again. If it happens, even if it is one of us, don't trust them. The other teams might try using the same plan that Rain Ninja did. Then what should we do, Sasuke-kun? Sasuke pushed the annoyance he felt at his teammate down as best he could, but it must have shown on his face because Sakura's face fell. That wasn't his problem, and he didn't care about hurting her feelings. They were in the middle of a test to become Chunin, and she chose now to try and flirt. Naruto is annoying too, but at least he is taking this seriously. With his plan to get them a scroll with minimum effort, and now he was listening instead of picking a fight to be in charge. Sasuke never thought he would say it, but he was wishing he had two Narutos on his team instead of Sakura. We'll make a code word just in case, he said, getting back to why he stopped in the first place. If they get the code word wrong, assume they are the enemy no matter what they look like. Now the code word, listen carefully, I'll only say it once. The Nin Song Nin machine, when this is asked, answer with, a large number of loud enemies is the friend of the shinobi, hide and remain silent. A shinobi must understand the proper time, when the enemy is tired and ill-prepared. Smart plan, Sasuke-kun. Sakura praised with a smile and Naruto nodded, but he could see the side glances his teammates were sending him. They thought he wouldn't be able to remember the whole thing. Well, he'd show them. He wasn't the snot-nosed 12-year-old that had taken the Chunin exams the first time around. Let's get moving. Sasuke moved to jump back into the trees. Kukuku. Sasuke's the leader. As expected. Slithering through the trees above his prey, Orochimaru licked his lips at the sight of the young Uchiha. How fortunate was he that Itachi had left a survivor. Orochimaru-sama, do we attack now? No, the snake Sannin hissed. You two go play around somewhere else. I'll take care of these three. As his pawns fled further into the forest in search of playthings for themselves, Orochimaru sped forward in a burst of speed, weaving hand signs as he went. Turning around when he was in front of his prey, he smirked. Let's see if Sasuke-kun is as good as they say. Wind style, devastation. Get down! Summoning 3 shadow clones in front of him, and his team, Naruto grabbed Sasuke and Sakura by their collars, pulling them with as he dove behind a thick tree. His clones, taking the brunt of the wind jutsu, dispersed in second. What is this? Sakura cried as entire branches flew past them, caught in the gale force winds that had come out of nowhere. What is with this forest? It's not the forest, Sasuke said, recognizing the winds for what they really were. What kind of person can use jutsu on this kind of scale? Kukuku, you dodged my attack. How surprising. Orochimaru giggled, looking down at his prey. He had expected Sasuke to dodge the attack. The blonde boy creating shadow clones was a surprise. For a genin to be able to summon one was a sign of potential, but 3 solid clones. Was Kabuto's report wrong? His spy had been clear that Naruto Uzumaki was nothing special. The dead last. What kind of dead last can use the shadow clone jutsu? Orochimaru. Naruto hissed, staring at the brown eyes of the grass ninja. He knew the truth of what lay behind those eyes. The snake waiting to shed his skin. Sasuke, Sakura, he whispered. We need to run. As much as he wanted to give the snake bastard what for, he knew it was suicide. Orochimaru could take down a squad of jonin. 3 genin weren't going to make him sweat. Their first battle so many years ago proved that. We're not even gnats to this guy. And that's what pissed Naruto off the most. For all his anger, he was powerless against the Sannin. You're not trying to run, are you? Naruto's body stopped moving as a blanket of fear covered him. Seeping through his skin, flowing through his veins, burrowing into his bones. 2 can't move. Barely able to turn his head, he twitched just enough to look to his side. Sasuke and Sakura were like mirror images. Wide-eyed and frozen in place. Is this what they felt last time? He had never felt anything like it. The only thing that came close was his first encounter with Zabuza. Except this was 100 times more terrifying. I need to move. But he couldn't. All he could do was tremble and place his legs quivering like a newborn fawn. Beside him, Sasuke was in a similar position, the terror he felt freezing him in place as a kunai pierced his head, killing him. Is this a genjutsu? The last Uchiha in the leaf asked himself. No, this is just fear. The killing intent in the grass ninja's eye was causing him to see images of his death. Who is this guy? Sakura, Naruto is right. We need to run. Sakura stared forward like she didn't hear him, rivers of tears cascading down her cheeks. Or we are going to die. Hee, none of you can move. Orochimaru moved faster than any of the 3 genin could see. 1 second his hand was empty, hanging at his side, and the next a trio of kunai was slicing through the air. Move! Forcing his body into action, Sasuke drew his own knife, stabbing it into his thigh. Before he could even process what was happening next, he was grabbing Sakura and jumping away. Lowering his hand, Orochimaru's tongue slithered out of his mouth and across his lips that had curled up into a satisfied grin. To injure his own body, to erase the feeling of fear with pain. It is as I thought. He is no ordinary prey. Pressing his back to the tree he had chosen to hide behind, Sasuke's chest rose and fell at an accelerated rate. They had almost died. And Naruto. Closing his eyes, he cursed himself for forgetting the blonde. But he had to save Sakura. Naruto will be fine. If I escaped, so did he. Sasuke-kun, are you? Slapping his hand over his teammate's mouth, he silenced her before she could say another word. We need to run again before we're found. But how? How can we run from this? Sakura stared at her crush, keeping her wits about her for the first time when in skin-to-skin contact with him. For Sasuke-kun to panic this much. I've never seen him like this. Sasuke. Sakura jumped in place and let out a muffled scream in fright as Naruto appeared next to them, stabbing the cow-sized snake slithering down towards them. Naruto, Sasuke tried to say, but Naruto nodded, interrupting him. Run, yeah, I know. Whoever this guy is, he's no genin. Did you feel that wind jutsu? It was insanely strong. He can even use the shadow clone jutsu, and it a forbidden jutsu, he said, nodding to the bleeding snake that went up in a cloud of smoke. It was clear to him the snake was a summon, but Sakura had probably read every book in the academy, and he didn't want to give her so much as a hint as to who they were really fighting. Sasuke nodded, half glad Naruto for once wasn't going to try and be the hero, and half because he was actually relieved to see the blonde ninja. Crossing his fingers, Naruto molded the chakra he needed for his signature jutsu. I'll have my clones transform to look like you two and run the opposite to us. It won't last long, but it's the only thing I can think of. Do it. Shadow clone jutsu, Naruto whispered and summoned 3 clones, splitting the chakra in them unevenly, giving most of it to the one who wouldn't transform. Alright, you guys know the plan. Get off of me, you bitch. Opening his eyes as whatever was going on around him roused him from his sleep, Naruto gasped, shooting up so quick his back nearly snapped. Sasuke, damn it. Beside him, lying flat on the ground, his head propped up by his weapons pouch, the Uchiha was sweating buckets, soaking his shirt and shivering. On his neck, the curse seal of heaven was clear to see. I said, get off of me. Darting his eyes from Sasuke, Naruto saw the fight happening outside the small hut Sakura had made out of a hollowed-out tree trunk. The kunoichi in question was on the ground holding on to one of the 3 sound genin with her teeth, as the other ninja pummeled her head with his free hand. Climbing to his feet, he channeled chakra to his legs. I was supposed to have stopped this from happening. In the middle of the small clearing that had been turned into their battlefield, Zaku slammed his fist against the pink-haired bitch, biting him again, but she still wouldn't let up. Half her head was covered in blood and she was still biting him. Raising his fist up again, he glared at the crazy bitch. I'm going to kill her slowly. Bringing his arms down, he grunted as pain erupted from his wrist. Looking up, he saw a pair of icy blue eyes staring down at him. What do you think you're doing? Holy crap, is that Naruto? Ino asked herself out loud. She had been about to jump in herself to save Sakura. They were rivals for Sasuke's affection, but they were also shinobi of the leaf, and even after everything she still saw the friend she once had in the pink-haired genin. He looks angry, Choji said, popping another chip into his mouth, munching on it quietly. Crouching beside his 2 teammates, Shikamaru rolled his eyes and stood up. It's going to be troublesome fighting these guys. But he couldn't just let Naruto get himself killed. Come on, guys. Let's whoa. Naruto. In the clearing, Naruto pulled the sound genin up with one arm as Sakura released her grip to call his name. You're hurting my teammate. Swinging his arm, he let go of Zaku and watched the bastard fly on course to slam into the tree on the other side of the clearing before his female teammate caught him midair, saving him from a painful collision. I see, one of you woke up. Dosu moved to stand in front of his teammates. Not the one we wanted, but you will have to do for now. Sakura, take bushy brows over to where Sasuke is, Naruto said, ignoring the sound trio. Smiling down at his teammate, he gave her a thumbs up. You did great, Sakura. But let me take it from here. Nodding tearfully, Sakura got to her feet, walked unsteadily over to where Lee was lying, blood still dribbling from his ear. Bushy brows, Naruto called as Sakura helped the older genin into the trunk of the tree, setting him down next to Sasuke. Thank you for helping, Sakura. Whatever scroll they have, if you need it, I will hand it over. Hey! Zaku shouted, pushing past Kin and Dosu. Who did this blonde brat think he was saying he was going to take their scroll? I won't be ignored by some Leaf Village trash. Give me your scroll. In the bushes, Shikamaru shook his head. What was that idiot thinking? If Lee, who was a year older than them, couldn't beat these guys, then what chance did Naruto have? That moron is going to get Sasuke and Sakura killed. Ino hissed, outraged. What is trying to pull out there? I don't know. But let's watch and wait for an opening, Shikamaru said. We can attack when they're distracted. If we decline? Dosu asked as Zaku growled, lifting his arms. Then I'm going to kill you. And after I will take the scroll, Naruto stated plainly. He didn't like killing and tried to avoid it when possible, but these guys, Orochimaru's goons, they had attacked Sakura. It happened last time too, but he hadn't noticed how hurt she had been waking up at the very end of the fight. Seeing her now, though, face bruised and bloodied, covered in tears, he was pissed. You really think you can beat all 3 of us? Kin asked, cocking her hip and raising a brow as she giggled. Well, aren't you cute? Zaku, kill this idiot. Then we can finish off Pinky and the Uchiha. I was gonna do that anyway. Zaku held his hands wide open, pointing his open palm at Naruto. Decapitating airwood dash. Gasping, he choked before he could finish his jutsu as a fist buried in his stomach with a force that felt like a horse's kick. He's fast. Dosa thought as he jumped back, putting distance between him and the Uchiha's teammate. 1 second and the blonde had been across the clearing, and in a blink, he was in front of Zaku before anyone could react. Zaku quit playing around. Stepping to the side, Naruto let the sound ninja Zaku fall to the ground. Looking at his fist, he frowned. He was stronger than he thought he was. And he had moved faster than he did when they fought Orochimaru. Strange. Before he could think about it more, he was reacting, his arms snapping up and snatching 2 kunai out of the air. Kill her. Blinking, he shook his head and vanished again in a burst of speed, appearing behind Kin, shocking every genin watching the fight. Using her own kunai, he hit her across the temple with the hilt, and let her crumble to the ground like a puppet whose strings had been cut. Kill her. Kill all of them. Naruto grabbed his head, wincing at the quiet voice begging him to kill. What did that snake bastard do? The Kyuubi usually only bothered him with those kinds of thoughts when he was using its chakra. He couldn't feel the fox's chakra, so why was it trying to influence him now? Why was he so angry? Kill them, hurt them. Shaking his head, he forced the Kyuubi's words away. Being in his younger body didn't revert his 17-year-old mind back to that of a child. He knew the consequences of using the fox's chakra. Jiraiya's scars had been a constant reminder of the danger of using that chakra. You're stronger than your teammate, and that green freak. Dosa narrowed his single good eye as the black flame-like markings covering the blonde's face flared orange. Like the veins underneath the skin were fire instead of blood. I see it is as I thought. The mark on his neck that Sakura girl asked about. Lord Orochimaru has given them the cursed seal. But how has he already gotten up from it? Are you going to stand over there all day? Naruto asked, turning to stare at the last sound genin standing. Naruto, Sakura's voice was shaky as she stared at her teammate. Naruto had never acted like this before. He's like a totally different person. What, Sakura? Can't you see I'm busy? Sasuke-kun, we need to get him to the tower. I think he is really hurt. Sakura pleaded, looking down at her crush. He was still sweating buckets, and now his entire body was shaking as he moaned in pain. Oh, Sasuke-kun? What did Orochimaru do to you? She's right. With the curse seal on him, Sasuke was in danger. Maybe if we get him to the tower and have Kakashi seal it before he uses it, he won't try to call on its power again. Sasuke saw himself as nothing but an avenger. His sole purpose for being alive was to kill his brother. Having felt the power the curse seal could give him the first time, he saw it as a way to grow stronger. If I can keep him blind to the power of the curse seal, then Orochimaru won't be able to influence him. But before that, Naruto turned back to Dosa, who had taken advantage of Sakura's distraction to grab his 2 teammates. The curse seal is disappearing. Looks like we're saved. Dosa sighed in relief as the flames receded from Naruto's face. Reaching into his jacket, he pulled out his team's Earth scroll and set it on the ground. Here's a gift for you. Please let us leave. Naruto frowned. Was this how things had ended last time? Why couldn't he have woken up sooner? This may seem convenient, Dosa said, taking Naruto's frown for suspicion of his surrender. But there is something we must find out now. But I will promise you this: if there comes another time in the exams when we meet, we will neither run nor hide. Dragging his teammates with him, Dosa jumped into the trees, leaving the leaf genin behind. Telling us to kill Sasuke, yet going ahead of us, then not killing Sasuke but giving him the curse seal. What is your reasoning, Lord Orochimaru? You 5 can come out now, Naruto announced, confusing Sakura as the sound genin left. Ino, Shikamaru, Choji, I'm talking to you 3. And you 2 in the trees, I know you're there, so come out or I come up. No need to fight. Tenten dropped into the clearing. We're just here for our teammate, Lee. On the other side of Naruto, the Ino Shikacho trio came out of the bushes slowly. Still startled at how the dead last of their class had dispatched 3 genin with ease. If Naruto is this strong, how strong is Sasuke-kun? Ino thought, watching Naruto pick Sasuke up and motion for Sakura to follow him. He's moving away from Team 9. Shikamaru narrowed his eyes. Did Naruto know something about Lee's team that they didn't? He had to. Why else would he be retreating away from fellow Leaf genin? Then again, in a test like this, they were all enemies. Hell, they were the team we were going to attack. Hey, Naruto! 7 pairs of eyes landed on Ino, who batted her eyes at the 9 tails Jinchuriki and pulled her hair out the ponytail it was shaking it free. How about handing over that Earth scroll to your favorite girl? Shikamaru dropped his head. Like that was going to work. Here. Blinking, the Nara heir moved his hand just quick enough to stop the scroll that was heading toward his face from hitting him. The Earth scroll? Naruto winked at Ino, a grin blooming on his face. We already have our 2 scrolls and Bushy Brow's team needs a heaven scroll. So don't say Naruto Uzumaki never did anything for you. Slinging Lee's arm, Neji's eyes narrowed at the blonde ninja he had thought was just another loudmouthed fool with no talent. How did he know that? To have been close enough to know which scroll both teams had. Was I mistaken? Thank you, Naruto. Ino winked at her fellow blonde. Finally, someone sees me for the sexy kunoichi I am. Neji's dismissal of her sex appeal earlier had been a blow to her ego. But now it was back full force. After all, if someone as dense as Naruto could see her beauty, she had to be beautiful. Looking past Naruto at Sakura, who was seething, she stuck her tongue out. Looks like Naruto-kun's moved on to bigger. Ino mimed lifting her chest with her hands. And better things, forehead. Why you? Sakura tried to storm forward, ready to give her rival the beating of a lifetime, but a second Naruto grabbed her and swiped her knees out from under her, lifting her up bridal style. Naruto! Put me down! No. You're tired from fighting and I'm faster than you. The real Naruto said, holding Sasuke like a sack over his shoulder. Besides, it's like you said, we need to get to the tower and get Sasuke help. And get the curse mark sealed. Went unsaid as no one but Naruto knew what was really going on. Glancing at the unconscious Uchiha on his shoulder, Naruto frowned. He'd have to keep Sasuke unconscious until they reached the tower if he wanted to keep his friend ignorant to the power the curse mark would give. Jumping into the trees carrying his teammates, Naruto left Team 9 and 10 behind. He could have offered to team up with them, or at least travel to the tower with Shikamaru's team, but they wouldn't be able to keep up with the pace he was going to set, and he couldn't afford to slow down. They made it fine last time. Now they have both scrolls early, they'll be fine. He would see them at the preliminaries. We should almost be there, Naruto thought, running behind the clones carrying his teammates. It had been almost 24 hours since the confrontation with the Sound Genin, and luckily Sasuke was still out of it. Unluckily was that Sakura had only slept at night when she forced them to stop because she was tired. Even when she was being carried and not running like he was. We should almost be there, Sakura said as if she heard Naruto's thoughts. Looking over the shoulder of the clone carrying her, she stared at the real Naruto. Right. Yee. Ah. Freezing on the branch, he landed on Naruto's ears, rung as a terrified scream echoed through the forest. Keep moving to the tower, Naruto ordered his clones as he started running to where the sound originated from. I don't remember this happening, he thought, jumping through the trees. It was dangerous leaving Sakura and Sasuke alone with just the shadow clones for protection, but he couldn't keep heading for the tower without finding who screamed. What if someone was in danger, and he left them to die? Ah. There it is again. Channeling chakra to his legs, he sped up, moving through the trees faster. I don't want to die. Literally trapped against a rock in a hard place, the hard place being a supersized bear trying to eat her. Karin covered her head with her arms. It was a useless defense against the razor-sharp claws and teeth of the bear, but it was all she had left. Her ninja weapons were gone, as were her teammates. Ripped to shreds by the same bear that was about to kill her. Rah-rah. Squeezing her eyes shut, Karin waited for the death blow to strike her. This is it. I'm really going to die in this place. That's one big bear. Naruto jumped over the bear and flipped mid-air, coming down feet first on its head, knocking the massive beast unconscious. Karin, terrified, looks up as thundering thud shook the ground beneath her. Opening her eyes, she tried to see what was going on, but without her glasses, all she could see was colors mixing in an indecipherable blur. Reaching out with her chakra, she used the ability she had kept hidden for so long to search for something, anything that would give her an idea of what was going on. Oh my! She gasped, locking onto the chakra signature that was directly in front of her, shining like a miniature sun. It was the purest chakra she had ever felt. Closing her eyes, she basked in the warm glow of the chakra blanketing her with its comforting presence. Hey, are you alright? Crouching down in front of the red-headed girl he had saved, Naruto picked up the glasses lying in the grass beside her. Here, do you need these? Holding each temple between his thumbs and index fingers, he gently slid the glasses onto the girl's face. Man, am I glad I came. Stifling his giggles, he smiled and gave a little wave as a pair of exotic crimson eyes opened behind the glass lenses. This girl is a beauty. Hey, I'm Naruto. What's your name? Karin. Stuttering out her answer as she felt the rest of the boy's chakra, Karin pressed herself against the rock. How? The blonde Naruto, he said his name had the warmest chakra she had ever felt. Yet he also had the coldest. Deep inside of him, buried beneath the warm chakra, was something dark. Something dangerous. But it was also separate. And there was a third source of chakra as well. It wasn't as dark as the buried one, but it was even more revolting. How can someone have 3 chakra sources? She had never seen that before. Or even heard of it. Did you hear me? Blinking, Karin lost focus of her sensing ability, and immediately tried to push herself through the boulder she was pressed against, her face blushing a bright red. Naruto's face was so close she could feel his breath on her lips. Can you give me a little space? Sure. Backing away, Naruto stood up to his full height, which wasn't much, Karin realized. He was about an inch shorter than her, and she wasn't very tall herself. Where are your teammates? They're dead. The bear got them before you came, Karin said, standing up herself. She wasn't very broken up about her teammates' death, and it must have been obvious because the blonde ninja frowned at her. Crossing her arms, she glared at Naruto. Listen, just because you Leaf Ninja are all buddy-buddy doesn't mean everyone else is. They didn't give a crap about me, so I didn't give a crap about them. Why should she? All her so-called teammates cared about was her ability to keep them from dying. The half-dozen scars she had amassed over the course of the second test were proof of that. They didn't care if they were scarring her body for the rest of her life. Even for something small like nicking themselves on a branch, they were biting into her. I didn't say anything, Naruto said, raising his hands in surrender. And he wasn't going to. Maybe once upon a time, he would have lectured her on caring about her teammates no matter what, but he had been around the nations and had seen that everywhere else definitely wasn't like the Leaf Village. So, if you're alone, do you need help getting to the tower? He asked, surprising Karin, whose red eyes went wide. My team's heading there now, and from here we're only about an hour from it if I hurry. Karin frowned. If you hurry? Grinning, Naruto shot forward, scooping the girl into his arms and jumping back into the trees as she screamed, gripping his shirt with both hands. Laughing, he made his way through the branches until he was standing at the very top of the tree. See, look. Opening her eyes, Karin saw the tower the examiner had told them to reach. He's right. It is close. Let's get going. I've got to catch up to my team before they reach it. Naruto dove back down into the trees, coating the bottom of his sandals in chakra so he wouldn't slip off the branches. It wouldn't do good to slip and fall in front of the girl he had just saved. Especially when she's a looker like this one. Where is Naruto? Sakura checked over the shoulder of the clone that was carrying her. They were close to the tower, and the examiner had said only full teams could pass. You shouldn't worry about the boss, Sakura. The clone, who was an exact replica of Naruto, said with a grin that just proved what he was. He might even be waiting for us at the tower. You never know with us. If he is, I'll pummel him. Sakura glared at the clone. The real Naruto wasn't here, so it would have to do. She was already angry that he had given Ino-Pig a scroll and now he had gone and left her and Sasuke-kun alone. The proctor had said this was a test that involved death, and everyone in the forest had agreed to it. He shouldn't be worried about the other teams. Sasuke-kun was hurt, really hurt. And he needed help that they could only get at the tower, and Naruto goes to play the hero. I wouldn't be mean enough to go to the tower by myself. Naruto landed next to the clone carrying Sasuke and fell into step with it. Besides, I wouldn't even be able to get in without you two. On the other side of Sasuke, Sakura eyes blazed. Who is that? In Naruto's arms was a red-haired kunoichi who looked far too comfortable for his liking. This is what he left us for? Some red-haired bimbo? Oh, this is Karin. Karin, that's my teammate Sakura, and the unconscious guy is Sasuke. Naruto introduced the two girls. TCH, next time you want to go play hero to some damsel, you idiot, don't. This is a test, and we want to pass. Helping someone who isn't on our team is counterintuitive. Damsel? Karin glared at the pink-haired bitch. Who was she to be calling people damsels when she was being carried around? I'm sure if I had someone as strong as Naruto-kun on my team, I wouldn't need help either. It's obvious he can pull the weight of more than himself. No matter how heavy the baggage is. Is she calling me fat? Sakura returned Karin's glare in full force. I'll destroy her. Caught between the two now angry kunoichi, Naruto sighed. It's a good thing we're close to the tower. Because at the way Sakura and Karin were staring at each other, he wasn't sure how long it would be before glaring wasn't enough and fists started flying. Hokage-sama, an ANBU member with a bird mask appeared kneeling before the third Hokage and Anko. Team 7 has just finished the exams. It's true, Naruto and Sasuke have the cursed seal. What? Anko eyes widened. He didn't say anything about Uzumaki. She knew her sensei. He was a braggart. He should have thrown the fact that he marked this year's dead last genin in her face before he said anything about the Uchiha. Why would he keep it a secret? Faster than the special Jonin, Chunin and his ANBU guards could see the third Hokage was out of his seat and across the room, leaving through the door. What is Orochimaru thinking? Sarutobi thought, moving through the halls of the tower. ANBU, bring Naruto Uzumaki to the medical ward. That fool. To put the curse seal on a Jinchuriki. Had finally gone truly mad? There was no telling what could happen to the 8 trigram seal if another seal is introduced. Was he trying to let the 9 tails loose in Konoha? No, he has to be there in person to administer the seal. Orochimaru wouldn't risk his life like that. Has he done this to other Jinchuriki? Could that be why he did it? Because he knew what was going to happen. And if so, what was going to happen now that Naruto had the curse seal? In his room, Naruto had his feet to the ceiling doing handstand push-ups, trying to burn some energy. Maybe I should have stayed in the forest longer. It wasn't really a viable option, but facts didn't stop his brain from thinking it. He just had too much energy to spend days waiting in the tower for the end of the exams. It was just so boring, and ever since he had woken up it was like his body was dialed to the max. It has to be Orochimaru's seal. He had thought it was the Kyuubi's chakra, and maybe Orochimaru had done something different than the 5 elements seal. When he called on the 9 tails, he felt stronger and faster, but he was also angrier and more violent. Which he did feel in the forest, but it wasn't a large amount of anger, so he ignored it, and he was sure the thing telling him to kill the sound ninja was the Kyuubi. Why didn't Sakura tell me? Orochimaru bit me too. He hadn't even been awake when it happened. I would have remembered being bitten. Why did that bastard put the seal on me anyway? As much as he shouted and bragged, he knew he wasn't anything special. Sure, he was strong and a good ninja, but he didn't have a clan or a Kekai Genkai like the Sharingan. He was just a normal ninja who trained hard. The only thing different about him was the being of mass destruction sealed in his gut. He wasn't a prodigy or someone who got something the first time he saw it. It was like Bushibrow said, he was a genius of hard work. What could Orochimaru want with him? Unless he's after the 9 tails? But he was pretty sure the Sannin had left the Akatsuki by this time. Naruto Uzumaki. Ga! Flipping to his feet, Naruto's hand was halfway to his kunai holster when he finally noticed the white painted bird mask staring at him. The ANBU Black Ops? The old man must have heard about, huh? The Hokage has requested your presence. The ANBU member said, confirming Naruto's question without actually answering it. Okay, let's go. As soon as Naruto finished his sentence, he felt a hand on his shoulder, and his world blurred as the ANBU used the body flicker technique, dragging him along as a passenger. In an empty room in the medical ward of the tower, Naruto stumbled forward as he and the ANBU arrived at their destination. It was only thanks to the Hokage, who grabbed him by the back of his shirt, that he didn't embarrass himself by falling flat on his face. First time using the body flicker? Enko asked and got a stern look from the third Hokage. Now wasn't the time for jokes. Ugh, that sucked. Taking advantage of his hold on Naruto, Sarutobi pulled his hand back, shifting the collar of Naruto's shirt so he could see the boy's neck. Displayed on Naruto's skin, easy for all to see as it stood out on his tan skin, were 3 slightly curved lines, spread in a rip-like pattern. Damn you, Orochimaru. Hokage-sama, this is a different seal, Enko said, moving her hand that was covering her mark so the Hokage could see her cursed seal again. It wasn't necessary, as the old man had seen it thousands of times when he tried to remove or suppress the mark of his student. He had never been able to, but Enko never held it against him. The Hokage tried. He had even called Jiraiya, the only seal master in Konoha, back to the village, and even he could do nothing but suppress the mark with the evil sealing method. I know, Enko. Sarutobi let go of Naruto's collar and set a hand on his shoulder, turning him around. Naruto, I need to know what happened in the forest. When you fought Orochimaru. Naruto, realizing he wasn't talking to the old man but to the third Hokage, nodded. He came at us disguised as a grass ninja. At first, I didn't know who he was. Not until he summoned a snake, and I remembered from the academy that the 3 Sannin, your students, could all sign summoning contracts. And Orochimaru's summons were snakes. Flashback. You guys know the plan. As 2 of his shadow clones transformed into Sasuke and Sakura, the real Naruto stood next to them watching his real teammates leave with his clone. I'm sorry guys, but I need to buy enough time for you to get away. Orochimaru would see through his clone ploy and run them down like dogs if they all tried to escape together. This was the way it had to be. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Around him, 24 of his clones popped into existence. From out of the massive smoke cloud they took off in teams of 3, running in different directions. Kakuku, the Shadow Clone Jutsu. How interesting seeing a genin use such a high-ranking ninjutsu. Orochimaru watched blonde, black and pink vanish into the trees. It would have been a good plan, confusing the enemy. If their enemy had been a fellow genin. Licking his lips as 3 of the clones stepped out to face him, the Sannin shook his head. Oh, so you decided to stay and fight? How surprising. Did they really think he believed that after going through all the trouble to create such a large diversion they would stay behind and fight? Don't underestimate Team 7, you bastard. The real Naruto shouted and drew 2 kunai, 1 in each hand. Charging straight toward the snake Sannin, he threw one of his knives and watched Orochimaru catch it with his fingertip. He hadn't expected to really hit the traitor, but he was still pissed he was being toyed with. As Naruto closed in on Orochimaru, the Sannin tossed the kunai he caught away. Prey should not run towards the predator. Yeah, well, if I wasn't holding back so much, Naruto growled, swiping his kunai through the air, missing wildly as Orochimaru leaned back just enough to dodge the knife. Stumbling forward, he set his free hand on the ground to stop himself from falling completely down. How foolish. Orochimaru frowned, lashing out with his foot, catching Naruto on the side, sending the boy flying through the air. Gasping as he collided with one of the many trees in the forest, Naruto fell to the ground, cradling his stomach. He swore he felt his ribs crack when Orochimaru's foot made contact. For such a lean guy, the bastard kicks like a mule. Of course, he already knew that, but it was different when he was on the receiving end of the beating and not watching from the sidelines or coated in Kyuubi's chakra. He didn't dispel. Watching the blonde crawl to his feet, Orochimaru glanced at Sasuke-kun and the pink-haired girl still standing away from him. Are you not going to fight Sasuke-kun? How disappointing. I expected more from the brother of Itachi. Sasuke didn't react to the jab and Orochimaru frowned. Kabuto had reported that Sasuke-kun hated his brother with a passion and had dedicated his life to killing him, avenging the deaths of his clan's men. Was his spy wrong again like he was with Naruto-kun? No, I see. Smirking, Orochimaru turned around and blocked a fist heading for his head with a flat hand. Naruto-kun, did you stay behind to buy time for your teammates to escape? Damn it, he already saw through it. Spinning, Naruto tried to follow his failed punch with a kick, but a hand wrapping around his ankle stopped his attack short. Twisting his arm to an unnatural angle that should have broken his elbow, Orochimaru held Naruto upside down in front of him. Which way did the real Sasuke-kun run? Hey, gotcha, Naruto smirked. Shadow clone explosion. Hidden in the trees, still nursing his throbbing ribs, Naruto watched as his clone exploded, taking with it 10 yards of the forest in a ball of fire and smoke. Scanning the area for any sign of Orochimaru, he frowned. Come on, you bastard. I know something like that wouldn't kill a Sannin. So where are you? Oh, so you know who I really am? Feeling the hissed words on his neck, Naruto spun on leg, coming up of the ground, using the momentum of his spin to put more power behind his kick. Ducking the kick, Orochimaru swept Naruto's legs out from under him and set a foot on his back, holding him flat to the floor. The only way for prey to survive is to give the predator another meal. So, tell me, Naruto-kun, which way did Sasuke go? Screw you, Naruto mumbled against the bark his face was pressed against. If you want the Sharingan, you better go find Itachi, cause you're not getting Sasuke. Not on my watch. So he has deduced what I'm after, Kakuku. Orochimaru chuckled, drawing a kunai from his holster. Kabuto would be saddened to learn that his information was wrong. Your shadow clones will disperse once you're dead, Naruto-kun. You've put up quite a good fight, and I'm sure Sarutobi-sensei would be proud of your sacrifice, Kakuku. Stabbing Naruto through the back, Orochimaru licked his lips as blood splattered against his face. His joy didn't last past 2 seconds though, as the Naruto he killed went up in smoke. Flashback end. So you used the substitution jutsu to escape, then what? Naruto hung his head as Anko, the Hokage, and the ANBU guy all stared at him. I thought he would think one of the other clones I left behind would be the real me and stay and fight them while me, Sakura, and Sasuke escaped. Pulling his collar to the side so his curse seal was showing, he scoffed. Obviously it didn't work since me and Sasuke got matching tattoos. Do not feel guilty of bearing that cursed mark, Naruto, Sarutobi said, feeling the guilt himself. If he had killed Orochimaru all those years ago, then none of this would be happening now. Orochimaru is one of the 3 legendary Sannin. No one in the village could hope to beat him. And Naruto didn't blame anyone but himself for that. He could have whipped out Sage Mode, and while it might not have been enough to beat the Sannin, it would have kept him at bay long enough for Sasuke and Sakura to escape. But he didn't, in fear of giving away his future knowledge. Is it even worth keeping it a secret? Looking up at the old man, Naruto frowned. How many lives could he save trying to stop the invasion himself? And how many could I save with the old man's help? Maybe if he had told him from the beginning, Sasuke wouldn't be laid up in a bed with the curse seal on his neck. Hey, old man, can I talk to you? Naruto glanced at Anko and the ANBU guys still standing in the corner like a statue. Alone. Before we continue, I would like to congratulate you all on passing the second test. Standing in line with the other 20 genin who had passed, Naruto waited for the old man to begin his speech. He didn't remember it word for word, but the message had stuck with him. Hokage-sama will now explain the third test, Anko said into the headset she was wearing, her voice echoing from the speakers spread throughout the room. Listen carefully. Stepping forward, his pipe smoking lightly as the tobacco in it burned away, Sarutobi looked at the gathered children who would be taking the third test. Before I explain the third test, there is something I would like each of you to know. It concerns the real reason for why we have the Chunin exams. Real reason? Sakura mumbled under her breath so only she could hear. Looking around at the other genin, it made her feel better at not knowing, because most of the others looked as confused as she did. What didn't help was that Naruto was not one of the ones who were confused. He was staring at the Hokage like he knew something no one else did. Could he already know the real reason? To promote friendship among the allied countries? To raise the level of shinobi? I don't want you to be confused about the true meaning. The third puffed on his pipe. This exam is a replacement for war between allied countries. If you go back in time, the current allies were enemies who fought each other over who would rule. In order to prevent wasteful fighting, the stage that these countries choose for battle, that is the origins of the Chunin selection exam. It is a fact that this exam decides which shinobi have what it takes to become Chunin. But on the other hand, this exam has another side. where countries' shinobis risk their own life to protect their land's prestige. As the old man continued his speech on shinobi nation strength, and what it means for clients to see that strength, Naruto glanced at the Sand sibling trio. Temari and Kankuro were listening, but Gaara was staring right back at him. This isn't going to be like last time, Gaara, he thought, staring at his fellow Jinchuriki. He wasn't going to need the Kyuubi's chakra to win, and their battle wouldn't be fought during an invasion. I'm going to beat you in front of everyone, and then we will see how eager your village is to invade after their weapon falls. He hated even thinking of his future friend as a weapon, but that was all the Sand village saw Gaara as. Well, that and a monster who killed to prove his existence. That would change though. Gaara, once he knew he was more than the one tail sealed inside of him, would go on to become Kazekage and protect his village, earning the love and respect of those that lived in it. Beat me to that dream. Naruto looked down. It had taken him until pain demolished the hidden leaf to finally step out of the Kyuubi's shadow. Naruto, come on. Huh. Feeling a tug on his arm, Naruto looked at Sakura, who was pulling him to the stairs leading up to the second level of the tower. Sasuke-kun's about to fight, and you're daydreaming, Sakura growled, resisting the urge to punch Naruto in the head. Honestly, after abandoning them in the forest to go save that Karin girl, and then disappearing for the rest of the 5 days after they reached the tower, she had about had it with him. Orochimaru had done something to Sasuke-kun, and it was like Naruto didn't even care. They were supposed to be a team. Once they were up on the balcony, Naruto pulled his hand from Sakura's and walked over the wall, sitting down so he was leaning against it. Aren't you going to watch Sasuke-kun's match, Naruto? Cha, if he doesn't cheer for Sasuke-kun, I'll kill him. No, there is no point watching when I know who's going to win. Naruto closed his eyes. Sasuke won't lose. On the other side of the room, the Sound Genin-sensei watched with barely restrained glee as Naruto sat down and reached for his neck. He is taking to the mark even better than Sasuke-kun. All right, Akamaru. We got a free ride to the finals. Pushing himself over the railing, his canine partner on his head, Kiba laughed loudly, landing in the arena. On the balcony, Kurenai smiled herself. Another one of her students would be going to the finals. I wouldn't be so sure that Kiba is going to beat Naruto, Kurenai-san. Kakashi smiled, looking up from his book. Naruto, hurry up and get down here. I want to secure my place in the finals sooner rather than later. Kiba laughed, folding his arms behind his head. How lucky was he to get paired with the dead last? Grinning, Naruto shook his head and jumped over the railing, landing opposite to Kiba. Maybe it was just his knowledge of how the fights would end, but it seemed like they finished faster than the last time he was here. Sasuke won, as did Shino, Shikamaru, Temari, and Kankuro all won their fights, with Sakura and Ino both losing. Alright, dog breath, I've got other things to take care of, so let's get this over with. Growling, Kiba glared at the dead last. Who do you think you are, Sasuke? You're the dead last Naruto, and I was in the top 5 genin of the class. You can't beat me. I don't have time for this. He needed to get his curse mark sealed. I still can't believe it would have gotten me disqualified from the exams. Enko had said the test lasted 5 days, but he fought a freaking Sannin. Didn't that give him a little leeway with the rule? Kiba Inuzuka vs. Naruto Uzumaki. Hate swiped his hand down. Begin. Alright, Akamaru. Kiba looked down at his Niken. Let's. Shouldn't have looked away, dog breath. Sprinting forward, Naruto crossed the distance between him and Kiba in a blink. Wah! Kiba's eyes rolled back as a quick flash of pain shot up his neck. No way! Ino shouted from the stands as Kiba hit the floor. He beat him so fast. What happened to the Naruto from the academy? She thought as Kakashi, Naruto's sensei, appeared behind Naruto and set his hand on the blondes, disappearing in a swirl of leaves. How troublesome. Shikamaru sighed as he tilted his head back, looking at the ceiling. You saw what he did to those Sound genin in the forest, Ino. Did you really think Kiba had a chance? This match was decided the moment it started. Narrowing his eyes, the Nara frowned at the spot where Naruto had just been standing. What I want to know is why Kakashi took Naruto and Sasuke right after their matches. And why were they both grabbing at their necks? Naruto, this sealing technique relies on your will as its main source of power. If you lose faith in your own strength, and your will sways, the cursed seal will reactivate. I know better than to use dangerous chakra, sensei. Naruto scoffed. Why do you think I don't use the Kyuubi's power? It had been almost 15 minutes since his match with Kiba, and he was sitting shirtless in a dark chamber only lit by the torches on the walls. Around him, 2 concentric circles with kunai placed in intervals along the circumference. On his body, a number of characters written in blood radiated out from the center of the curse seal. 5 lines of characters were written in blood on the floor, with him in the center matching what was on his body. This is different, Naruto. Orochimaru's seal will tempt you, try to break you down until you give in to it. Then it's not different at all. I'm always fighting the fox when I'm in battle. Its power is always there, just undermine waiting for me to use it every time I'm in a tight spot. Kakashi hummed as he finished the necessary seal for the evil sealing method. He would have to talk to the Hokage about that. Having the fox trying to influence Naruto wasn't good. In fact, it was dangerous. Hey, Kakashi-sensei, are we almost done? I don't want to miss the other matches. Naruto, you didn't watch a single match before yours. Kakashi deadpanned. What's more important than your teammates' matches? Gaara's. Naruto didn't even have to think about it. He needed to keep Gaara from hurting bushy brows. Sure, Tsunade healed him, but if he could stop it from happening in the first place, he should. But he couldn't tell Kakashi-sensei that, so he lied. I need to know what he can do so when I fight him in the finals I can beat him. And how do you know you're going to fight him? Kakashi asked. Maybe one of the other genin will fight him. Then they will die. And how do you know that? Because Naruto turned to look at his sensei. Gaara is like me. He's carrying a demon too, and that means I have to fight him. Kakashi's one visible eyes widened. Another Jinchuriki in the exams. I see. Well, I'm sorry, Naruto, but you won't be able to watch his match. Sasuke still hasn't woken up from the ceiling. Kakashi left out that he was planning on making sure Naruto didn't fight Gaara. Two Jinchuriki fighting each other in front of civilians wouldn't end well. For anyone involved. Naruto rolled his eyes. Yeah, well, Sasuke, he doesn't have a Bija healing him. Let's just do this, Kakashi-sensei. Weaving through the hand signs, the copy ninja frowned at his student. This might hurt, Naruto. Naruto tensed but nodded. I can take it. Evil sealing method. Finishing the needed hand seals, Kakashi clapped his hand over Naruto's shoulder, covering the cursed seal. Naruto felt fire burn through his veins, spreading pain throughout his entire body. Blinking his eyes open, Naruto winced, closing them quickly as bright light bombarded his vision. God, that sucked. And he had a feeling he knew where he was. The bright white light overhead. Sniffing, he gagged as the strong scent of disinfectant burned his nose. Yeah, he was in the hospital. I hate hospitals. Opening his eyes again at a much slower pace, he stared up at the ceiling of his room for a moment before sighing and rolling over. The bed wasn't very comfortable, and he needed to find someone who could tell him how long he had been out. I hope I didn't miss out on much training. Climbing out of bed, he found his clothes stacked neatly on a chair next to his bed. Probably by Kakashi-sensei, or the old man. Doctors and nurses treated him the same as everyone else, which was crappy, so he didn't think they would be nice enough to fold his clothes. Pulling his shirt and pants on, he tightened his ninja sandals and slipped out the door. Looking around, he saw what seemed like a lobby area to his left, so he went that way, walking down the hallway. Miss? He asked when he reached the end and saw a desk with two nurses seated behind it. The sign overhead read check-in, and he could see a set of stairs going up but not down, so he was assuming he was at the main desk. Can you point me to Sasuke Uchiha's room? It wasn't what he wanted to ask, but if asked how long have I been in here, they would send him right back to his room. And he couldn't have that. I have training to do. The nurse at the front desk smiled but shook her head. I'm sorry, Uchiha-san is on the list for no visitors allowed. Ah, right. Forgot about that. Naruto thanked the nurse, who must have been new in Konoha because she didn't look at him like the gum on the bottom of her shoe, and turned around. I need to find Kakashi-sensei. He knew the Jonin was going to pawn him off on Ebisu the moment he did ask for training, but that was fine. Being pawned off to the closest pervert put him on the path to meeting Pervy Sage at the hot springs. Naruto, I didn't expect to see you up so soon. The lazy voice of his sense said from behind him. It's only been 2 days. Spinning around, he smiled at the silver-haired Jonin. Well, I am. So let's start my training. 2 days wasn't bad, but it was still 2 days worth of training he couldn't get back. And he needed to all the training he could get. Ah, about that, Naruto. I'm going to be busy this month and I won't have time to oversee your training. So you're pawning me off on some other Jonin so you can focus on Sasuke instead? Naruto nodded. Yep, just like last time. And he knew he was going to meet the pervy sage again, but it still stung, being tossed aside for Sasuke. Don't say it like that, Naruto. I've found a teacher for you who is much more reliable than me. Kakashi smiled, but it was awkward given that he had been caught in his lie. Or not really a lie, since he would be busy, but still. Who? The doors to the hospital opened behind Kakashi and Ebisu walked in, adjusting his glasses. It is me. The closet pervert. Naruto shouted, for nothing else other than to embarrass Ebisu. The special Jonin was Konohamaru's sensei, and the brat had been a lot better than he had been when he was a genin. Not that he could have beaten him in a fight, but that was because he was a Jinchuriki. If he hadn't been, well, Orochimaru probably would have killed him, and if that didn't happen, he would have never beaten Neji. Ebisu would be a good trainer. 'Cause I need more than what Pervy Sage taught me. Sure, summoning was cool and he was going to try and get the Toad Sannin to teach him the Rasengan early, but other than that Jiraiya had spent most of his time doing research. When he's off peeping I can find Ebisu. It was the perfect plan. I don't know Kakashi-sensei. When this guy saw my harem jutsu he fell to MMPH. Such insolence. Covering Naruto's mouth with his hand, Ebisu glared at the genin. To try and spread my greatest humiliation. Naruto, you're wrong about Ebisu-sensei. He's a special jonin. A private tutor who specializes in teaching only the elite. Frankly, he's a better teacher than I am. Kakashi said, and Naruto stopped squirming. He had his fun and now it was time to get down to business. When Ebisu released the hold he had on him, Naruto agreed. Alright, but we start now. I won't be having two lazy senseis. Naruto, that's a mean thing to say. Kakashi frowned before vanishing in a plume of smoke, leaving Naruto and Ebisu to each other company. Looking up at Konohamaru's future Jonin sensei, Naruto raised an eyebrow at the bandana-wearing man. Well, what's it going to be? Are we going to get to training or not? Of course, Ebisu pushed his glasses higher onto his nose. I won't have a slacker as a student. I'm waiting on you, sensei. Then come on and let's get started. Ebisu set a hand on Naruto's shoulder and used the teleportation jutsu, taking Naruto with him, leaving the hospital in a swirl of leaves. I can see where this is going, Ebisu-sensei, Naruto said as the special jonin led him into the hot springs. And I already know the water walking technique. Ebisu stopped at the edge of the first boiling spring they came across. Then show me. Channeling chakra to his feet, Naruto stepped off the tile and onto the spring, walking a good 5 feet out over the water before turning around, grinning at the slack-jawed look on Ebisu's face. See, I told you I could do it. I saw some Chunin fighting in one of the training ground, and when one dodged an attack he landed on the water instead of in it. I started practicing after that. A total lie, but Ebisu seemed to buy it. A mere genin teaching himself water walking after only seeing it once. Ebisu stared at Naruto from behind his glasses. You are more than what I thought you were, Naruto. Yeah, that's right, give her a hug. You haven't seen each other in a while. Ebisu and Naruto both heard the giggles and turned to see where they were coming from. On the other side of the spring, a white-haired man was crouched against the wall, blocking the woman's bath from view. Adjusting his glasses, Ebisu frowned. I don't know who you are, the special jonin started running across the water. But I will not forgive such shameless behavior. Still standing in the middle of the spring, Naruto watched as Jiraiya summoned a toad the size of a horse. A thick tongue shot out and smashed into the charging Ebisu, knocking the special jonin unconscious and to the floor. Geez, keep it quiet, would you watcha gonna do if I get caught? Pervy sage. Naruto swiped at his eyes as the Sannin went back to his peeping. Crap, I need to get it together before I go over there. He had known he would be seeing his sensei alive again. It was one of the reasons you tried the jutsu out, but knowing and seeing were two very different things. The last time he saw future Jiraiya, the man was going off to fight pain. A fight he wouldn't return from. Okay, you got this. Walking over to the peeper, he stepped over Ebisu's body and tapped Jiraiya on his shoulder roughly. Hey, you knocked out my teacher. What am I supposed to do now? Waving a hand in a shooing motion, Jiraiya never looked away from the wet noodle flesh on the other side of the wall. Go away, kid. I am the great toad sage of Mount Maiboku. I do not have time for children. Alright, pervy sage, you asked for this. Grinning, Naruto formed the ram sign. Sexy jutsu. Sexy what? Falling back as blood spurted from his nose, Jiraiya popped back up a second later, a perverted grin on his face. This is what I was looking for. Blonde, curvy, young and beautiful. Will you help me with training, mister? The blonde bit her fingertip and pouting with her sparkly blue eyes. Of course I will. I'll help you with anything, baby. Ahaha. Releasing his jutsu, Naruto grinned at the downtrodden look on Jiraiya's face. Awesome, let's go, pervy sage. As long as Blondie keeps making appearances, Jiraiya said, scribbling in his notebook. Yes, she's quite the research material. So much easier than the first time. No chasing after the perv, no wasting time looking for a curvy melon, and no being stuck in a pot. Not that he was going to be using the sexy jutsu too much. It was weird being ogled by Jiraiya. Ugh. Shivering, he shook his head. Yeah, no more sexy jutsu unless it was absolutely necessary. Maybe he could have a clone transform and then block out the memories when it dispels. Yeah, that should work. Alright, kid. You have convinced the great Jiraiya to train you. Jiraiya grinned. Let's get to work. Hours later. Sitting at the edge of the lake Jiraiya had been peeping at earlier while they were training, Naruto stared at his reflection in the water. He barely recognized himself. All he could see was a giant walking bruise. At least he is taking my training seriously. And Naruto had a feeling he knew why. The old man must have spoken to him. It was the only explanation. Before the 3-year training trip, Jiraiya had only taught him the Rasengan and the summoning jutsu. And while they were both powerful jutsu, it wasn't enough. It was one of the things he had always thought about. Maybe if he had learned better taijutsu, he wouldn't have needed Rock Lee's help to beat Kimimaro. Maybe he could have beaten Sasuke at the Valley of the End. It was useless thinking about the what-ifs and the maybes, but that didn't stop his mind from wandering to them when he had nothing else to do. Wincing as he stood up, Naruto smiled at the pain. He might have been a little insane for being glad his sensei had knocked him around for the last couple of hours, but it was worth it. Shadow Clone Jutsu. On top of the lake, 2 clones popped into existence, grinning. "Alright, boss. Get ready to lose." Stepping out onto the lake himself, Naruto nodded, and his clones charged. Hokage office. "You were right, sensei. The kid is good." Jiraiya and Hiruzen were seated around the third Hokage's glass orb, watching as Naruto fought against his clones. He's already decent at frog kata, and it's only been a day. He didn't have spies in Konoha, so the only thing he had that gave him any insight into what his pupil's son was like was the academy reports and whispers in the village. The whispers he ignored because the village despised Naruto, seeing him as the QB instead of its jailer. The academy reports were obviously biased as well, given that with his own 2 eyes he could see that Naruto was no dead last. Naruto wasn't a genius or prodigy like his father, but he wasn't as hopeless as his teachers made him out to be. He was a hard worker and dedicated to becoming stronger. Jiraiya would bet all his Ika books that the reason Naruto was the dead last was that none of the teachers bothered to teach him anything. Graduating without the help of his teachers just shows he has potential. The only report not filled with nonsense was from Irika Yumino. And Jiraiya had already made plans to go see the Chunin when he had some free time. "I'm glad to see you listened to me and took his training seriously, Jiraiya." Scratching his long mane of white hair, Jiraiya laughed, throwing his head back. "Well, you were the one who said he'd kick me to the curb if I didn't. And seeing him now, I believe you." "Ha!" And he did. Naruto could have gone home and got some rest. Or went and hung out with a friend. But instead, even though his body had to be throbbing in pain because Jiraiya doesn't pull his punches when training a student, he was still working hard. Minato was a genius, and he loved his student dearly, but Jiraiya had to admit, he saw more of himself in Naruto than he did Minato. Maybe he will be the one. He had thought it was Nagato, and then Minato. But maybe the one the great Toad Sage spoke of was Naruto. "Did you locate Tsunade?" the third asked, pulling Jiraiya out of his thoughts. Nodding, he frowned, thinking of the first order he had gotten when he arrived. "Did you already send a messenger?" "Because I could." Raising a hand, Hiruzen stopped his student's suggestion before he could finish it. "I need you here, in the village. Your presence might be enough to ward off the Sand invasion and avoid war, but it may not be enough. With 2 of the legendary Sannin in the village, the Sand would be foolish to attack." Jiraiya's frown stayed firm as he shook his head. "Tsunade left the village because of war, sensei. Now you want to drag her back to possibly fight another? How do we know we can trust Naruto's intel anyway?" The QB dissolving a piece of Orochimaru's that was left inside Naruto by the curse sealed, and Naruto got the memories of him planning the attack on Konoha. It all seems like a ploy for the fox to try and escape. If Naruto thinks the village is in danger, he might give in and release the fox, thinking it could give him the power to protect his friends. Maybe be so. But I doubt Naruto would do such a thing. He knows the QB can't be trusted. And if the attack was just a ploy, then no harm done. Hiruzen sighed, wishing he had his student's optimism. But with the rise in missions from the Land of Wind, he knew the fox wasn't playing games. The Sand Village was unhappy and losing money. With Orochimaru masquerading as the Kazekage, the Sand Shinobi would follow him to war. Naruto wake up. Ah. Shooting up from his bed, Naruto drew the kunai hidden under his pillow and pointed the sharp end at his attacker. "That won't hurt me, Ninjen." "QB?" Looking around, Naruto sighed at the drab surroundings around him. That was his mindscape. With the ankle-deep murky water and the gray walls, it was a really depressing place. And it probably wasn't a good thing that his mind looked this way. "I should really fix this place up." "Don't be a fool, Ninjen. You can't change your mind. It is who you are." QB's giant muzzle flashed its tree-sized teeth in a bloodthirsty grin. "And no matter what mask you show your fellow idiotic humans this around you, this is what you really are." "There's nothing here." Naruto dropped his kunai and watched it fade from existence. It didn't pop like his shadow clones, it just vanished. "Yes, but you still don't see it. You see nothing here because you are empty on the inside." "Empty inside?" Naruto scoffed. He wasn't empty inside or depressed. In fact, he was happier than ever. Everyone who had died he had a chance to save. Sure, the villagers hated him again, but that would change. Or maybe it wouldn't. I can't let pain attack Konoha. It wouldn't be right to let the village be destroyed just so he could gain the admiration of the villagers. Thinking about the future again. Don't bother, Naruto. You can't change what happens. You're not strong enough. Not without me. The nine-tailed fox growled. You need my power. Naruto shook his head. I don't need your chakra. Not this time. That was a mistake he was going to fix. He had relied upon the Kyuubi's strength far too much in the future. Against Orochimaru, Neji, Gaara, Lee, Orochimaru again in pain. He would fight with his own strength this time. But you do, Naruto. You haven't even noticed, have you? The fox smirked, and a small amount, not even a drop of power, sneaked through his cage. Naruto gasped as a barrage of images flashed through his head. 5 Kages meeting. Kakashi fighting Sasuke. Taking a red-haired Kunoichi back to Konoha. Karin? Yes. Glaring at the fox, Naruto bared his teeth as he gritted his words out. What did you do? Nothing, and that is your problem. Did you think that a jutsu to send someone back in time wouldn't have a drawback? The human mind isn't strong enough to retain all of your memories. Things you knew are vanishing. Kyuubi laughed, a deep, disturbing laugh that Naruto hated hearing. Maybe next time it won't be just meeting that Karin girl. Something more important might disappear. Then fix it, you bastard. Naruto roared, punching the gate, holding his tenant back. He couldn't lose his memories of the future. They were too important. He needed them, or saving people would be impossible. No. Not right now. When you come to me again, I will return your memories and you will set me free. I will never let you out. The Kyuubi set his head down on his paws and closed his eyes. You will if you wish to save all the meat sacks that will die. Now be gone. Shooting up in his bed covered in sweat, Naruto's eyes blazed with anger. That damn fox! He wouldn't let that bastard win. Jumping from his bed, he kneeled down and pulled the box he had underneath full of old scrolls and books from the academy. Digging through the scrolls and books, he ignored them and searched for his notebook. He hadn't used but 2 pages taking notes in class, so the whole thing should be empty. Gotcha! Pulling the black book from the box, he flipped through the blank pages. It was a gamble doing what he was doing. But it was necessary. He couldn't allow his knowledge of the future to vanish. Grabbing one of the old pencils in the box, he flipped to the 3rd page and began writing. Today is the day. In his small one-room apartment, sitting on his bed, Naruto wrapped white bandages around his hands and forearms, covering the bruises and scars on his knuckles. Standing up, he grabbed the black t-shirt laying on his bed and pulled it over his head, covering his torso. The finals of the Chunin exams had finally arrived. Pulling on his black shinobi sandals, he pulled the strap tight and tucked his burnt orange pants into them before wrapping his ankles with bandages to keep the pants from coming loose. He was going to catch a lot of flack for wearing his favorite color, but it was who he was. And if he was going to change things today, he needed to be the full Naruto Uzumaki. If the things started looking bad, he wouldn't hold back like he did in the forest. Too much was riding on his victory, and now he was on a deadline. Damn fox. He had written everything he knew down, and that notebook, containing every detail that someone would need to ruin the future, was sealed inside of his body. It was the safest place he could think of. He needed it to be on his person at all times if he wanted to keep it out of not only the wrong hands but any that weren't his. Time to go. Forming the ram seal, he vanished in a puff of smoke. Chunin Exam Stadium. I don't want to be here, sensei. Tsunade hissed as she stood behind the sandame. Here she was standing guard for a man that all she wanted to do was pummel the bastard. Teacher or not. He had dragged her back to this godforsaken village, and she hated him for that. There was nothing but bad memories here for her. Watching the genin mingle in the fighting arena, Hiruzen sighed. He could feel his students' ire against him, and he was sorry for the way she felt and grieved for those she lost, but the village had to come first. I'm sorry, Tsunade, but the village needs you. I've let you have your space to grieve, but it was time to return home. Tsunade scoffed, crossing her arms over her sizable bust. This village took everything from me. I don't care what happens to it. Then you are free to leave. Tsunade heard the steel in her sensei's voice and knew she was dealing with the Sandame Hokage, god of shinobi, and not her sensei who had helped raise her. But understand, the moment you and any leaf ninja that follows you walk out the gates, you will be labeled missing ninja. Damn you, sensei. Clenching her fist, Tsunade looked away from her Hokage's chair. With the Kazekage a few feet away, she wasn't foolish enough to attack her leader. Even if he did deserve a beating. Using Dan's niece and her apprentice Shizen to blackmail her into staying in the village. It was disgusting. Shizen wouldn't let her leave alone, and the Slug Princess knew that even if she ordered her, the younger girl would follow her anyway. And the Umbu sent after her would cut her down without a second thought for abandoning the Leaf Village. Problems, Hokage-dano? The Kazekage asked, turning his head, only his eyes in view as his hat and face mask covered everything else. Not at all. Just a student and teacher catching up after so long. Leaning forward as Hate began to speak, Hiruzen smiled. The finals are beginning. Yes, Raza nodded. The last Uchiha is what most the audience came to see. By my son, Gaara will be the one crowned victor. Looking at the genin, he might have to fight Shikamaru's side. He didn't want to be here. All these guys were more dangerous than him. I should just forfeit. Naruto had the right idea. What he wouldn't have given to be able to skip the finals without his mother finding out. I hope you aren't thinking of quitting before the fighting starts. Turning around, Shikamaru raised an eyebrow at Naruto's new clothes. Orange, Naruto? Not the best color for a ninja. Ha, I'm just that good, Shika. Naruto thumbed his chest. I don't need to sneak up on anyone to kick their ass. Feeling eyes on him, Naruto glanced out the corner of his eye at Gaara, who was watching him. Smiling, he waved to the redhead, who turned away. I look forward to our fight. He was sure Kankuro wouldn't fight his brother, and there was no way he was going to lose to Neji, so the crowd would get to see two Jinchuriki fight. But it wouldn't be very exciting. His fight against Gaara would have to end quickly. He couldn't afford to be weak when the invasion began. Ahalat's Bejanoth Chunin exam finals. Hyde's voice echoed through the stadium. Will everyone but Uzumaki, Naruto, and Hyuga Neji please wait in the waiting box? As the rest of the genin out of the fighting arena, Naruto grinned, taking his spot in front of Hate. He was glad the sickly man had made it through the month. With his lie to the Hokage about knowing about the invasion, the old man hadn't needed to send the special Jonin spying and in turn didn't get him killed. Yugago, that Umba lady should be happy as well. He was pretty sure the purple-haired woman was dating this guy. Watching his first opponent smile and wave at the crowd, Neji smirked smugly. He had nothing to fear from this fight. The battle had been decided the moment he drew his number in the preliminaries. Someone such as Naruto could not beat him. It was the blonde's fate to lose here. You should give up now, before you embarrass yourself. Heh, sounds to me like you're scared to fight me. Naruto shot back, craning his neck side to side. Just get ready, Neji. I'm gonna kick your ass and show you fate's what you make it. Begin. Hate called and jumped back from the two young shinobi. Neji's eyes narrowed and the veins on his face became more pronounced as he channeled chakra to his eyes. Byakugan. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Next to Naruto, two clones popped into existence, crouching on the ground and running through the hand seals. String Light Formation. Around Neji, ink appeared on the ground. To the civilians and genin in the crowd, it looked like scribbles, but the higher rank ninja nodded, seeing Naruto's plan. The Hyuga clan was dangerous and Neji was a prodigy among them. Trying to fight him head-on would have been a foolish move. Two can't move. Smirking, Naruto stood up and drew a kunai. Walking towards Neji, who was shaking as he tried to force his limbs to move. Stopping just outside the largest of the two circles, keeping Neji inside the seal, Naruto tossed the kunai at the Hyuga's feet and then drew another. Holding it up, he showed Neji and the proctor the paper bomb tied to the hilt. Neji, you can't leave the barrier. You're trapped. Then throw it. Don't think I'll surrender to a loser such as yourself. Fate has already decreed me the winner of this fight. Stubborn bastard. Naruto threw the kunai, frowning as he channeled a small bit of chakra into the tag before letting it go. He didn't want to hurt Neji. The Hyuga was his friend and would be helpful when the real fighting started during the invasion, but he couldn't lose. Kaiten. Shit. Leaping away as his kunai was sent back at him, Naruto cursed himself. How could he have forgotten about the Kaiten? It was a super badass jutsu. Still, Neji can't move and I can't attack. Brushing dust from his shoulder, he sighed. Looks like we're at a stalemate. No, once I find a way out of this trap, you will lose. Fate has decreed me the victor. Naruto sighed, shaking his head at Neji's pride. The Hyuga was really annoying with the whole fate stuff. Alright, time for this to end. Neji frowned and activated his Byakugan, his hands straight out, ready to defend with the Kaiten. There is no attack that my ultimate defense can't stop. In the stands, Sakura frowned, watching Naruto fight Neji to a standstill. When did he get so good? Less than 6 months ago he had been the worst in their class. Not even capable of even performing the standard Bunshin. Now he's fighting guys like Neji. Last year's Rookie of the Year. Wow, Naruto's doing pretty good, isn't he? Ino asked, snapping Sakura from her thoughts. Yeah, I guess. But he's still not as good as Sasuke-kun, right? Sakura waited for confirmation from her old friend, but it never came. Turning her head, the pinkette saw Ino biting her lip and watching Naruto run toward Neji, who began to spin again. Ino pig, you don't seriously think Naruto can beat Sasuke-kun, do you? I don't know, Sakura. Ino shrugged. She could still remember Naruto knocking those sound ninja in the Forest of Death. He had beaten them so easily, and those guys had knocked Lee around like he was nothing. Then he had fought Kiba and kicked his butt too, and made it look easy. Now he was fighting Dash, no beating Neji. If I was comparing the two, I don't think Sasuke would win. Kaiten. Skidding to a stop, Neji glared at his opponent. I already told you. Nothing can get past my defense. Naruto crossed his arms, kunai, and shuriken littering the ground around him. This fight is over, Neji. Underneath Neji, the ground cracked and a clone came bursting through. Nothing is changing. Naruto frowned as his clone's fist slammed into Neji's chin, knocking the Hyuga into the air. He could have used his new jutsu and fought Neji differently, but why change what wasn't broken? This plan worked last time, it would work again. I warned my clone not to hit him too hard, so he should be good for the invasion. Maybe a slight concussion, but Shizen Nei-chan or another medic Nin could handle that. Hyuga Neji is unable to continue. Uzumaki Naruto is the victor. The crowd erupted into cheers and Naruto nodded to them, waving as he made his way to the wall and started walking up to where the other genin were waiting while Hade called down the next two fighters. Will Kankuro and Gaara come down? He won't fight. Naruto knew that for a fact. Kankuro would never fight his brother. Not only to keep to the plan but also because he was terrified of Gaara. Sure enough, Kankuro raised his hand. I forfeit, Proctor. Grabbing the railing next to the sand ninja, Naruto pulled himself into the box and patted the puppet user on the back. Don't feel too bad, I wouldn't want to fight my family either. Aren't you an orphan? Temari asked snidely before her brother could report. Smirking at the blonde sand ninja, Naruto grabbed her hand and brought it to his lips. We meet again. It must be destiny. Cold steel pressed against Naruto's cheek, lifting his head from Temari's hand. Wielding the steel, Temari smiled. Don't touch me. Pouting, Naruto backed away. And here I thought we had something special, Temari-chan. Sitting on the floor a few feet away, Shikamaru frowned at Naruto's back. He had just put seals on the sand ninja. Why? Naruto wasn't the type to cheat. So why was he putting seals on the sand genin? Would he try with him and Shino as well? Hey Shika, good luck on your match. And don't go quitting. Naruto laughed as Shikamaru sighed, leaning back against the wall. He would have to think about it later. Kage Booth. Naruto-kun. You've been quite helpful. Orochimaru's eyes followed the young Jinchuriki. The boy didn't even know how helpful he had been. Even he hadn't expected such fruits to be born from marking the Kyuubi Jinchuriki with his cursed seal. What a surprise it was to find out that young Naruto-kun was the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. He hadn't expected it. Nor had he expected his mark to still be on the boy. Not that he planned on skipping over Sasuke for the Naruto's body. Trying to take over the body of a Jinchuriki was too dangerous. But that didn't mean he gained nothing. Naruto-kun's blood has special properties. Whether from him being an Uzumaki or from the Kyuubi's chakra slowly leaking into his body, his blood was strange in how it worked. It would heal the wounds of the person it was injected into but then poison them. To heal and then kill. Kukuku. So interesting you are, Naruto-kun. A fine match, wouldn't you say, Raza? Yes. Orochimaru nodded, laughing at his sensei's cluelessness. The Hyuga boy lost the moment and Uzumaki began using seals. Another surprise. Fuinjutsu was challenging to learn, and yet Naruto-kun had learned it in a month. Just one, but the immortal snake and every other high-ranking ninja watching could tell Naruto-kun was holding back. Not many remember the Uzumaki clan, Hiruzen noted as Shikamaru and Raza's daughter Temari began their fight. Your daughter should be careful. The Nara are a powerful clan. And I hear Shikamaru is quite the genius. Temari is one of the best genin in my village. Only my son Gaara surpasses her in skill. She will win. Not that it matters. This fight wasn't the one he had come to see. Where are you, Sasuke-kun? On battlefield. She won't be moving. Shikamaru sat down and cupped his fingers together, closing his eyes. Temari was too wary of his shadow to move past the line she created, and the tree he was hiding behind gave him cover and time to think. Not about the match, which was what he should have been thinking about, but instead Naruto was at the forefront of his mind. His fellow Leaf Ninja had the chance to slap a seal on him when he walked by, but he didn't. Which meant he wasn't trying to get ahead in exams by cheating outside the matches. However, that just made more questions. Why did Naruto put seals on the sand genin? Why were there Umbu in the stadium? Something is happening. And it didn't have anything to do with the Chunin exam finals. Which meant he had to finish his match without wasting too much of his chakra. How troublesome. I give up. Shaking his head as Shikamaru cancelled his jutsu and explained that he was out of chakra, Naruto grinned. He should have known someone as smart as a Nara would have noticed. The match had gone the exact same as it had in the future, and he hadn't caught it last time, but he was older now and not as distracted by the prospect of becoming Chunin. And he knew there was no way Shikamaru had used all of his chakra in his match. It hadn't lasted long and Shika hadn't used nearly enough jutsu to run him dry. So he must have known the first time as well. Again, it shouldn't have been a surprise. Shika was a genius after all, but Naruto was still shocked. Shikamaru really was the only one who had deserved to be promoted. The Jonin probably noticed that he saw what was going on. Naruto, Shikamaru whispered as he passed. Meet me at the stairs when Shino's match starts. Nodding, Naruto slapped the Nara on the back and shouted. Great job, Shika. TCH, causing a scene so it doesn't look like we're being suspicious, Shikamaru smirked. You're not the same Naruto we went to the academy with. Out of all 9 genin who graduated, Shikamaru could say with absolute certainty that Naruto was the one who had changed the most out of all of them. So you're gonna tell me what the hell is going on? And why you, a genin, is involved? Alright, I can't tell you everything though. Naruto looked at the wall as a distant explosion went off. Sasuke and Shino were going at it in the arena, and if he was right, Shino would surrender soon. His bugs wouldn't be able to get past Sasuke's fire ninjutsu, and the Aburame wasn't going to be able to match Sasuke in taijutsu either. The village is going to be attacked. Shikamaru's back straightened out of his slouch and his eyes widened. The village was going to be attacked. When? How? By who? Sometime during the exam, Gaara, the guy who injured Lee and attacked us in the hospital, remember him? He's a Jinchuriki and the Sand Village's secret weapon when they invade with the sound. Why would they do that? It didn't make any sense. Weren't Konoha and the Suna allies? One of the legendary Sannin, Orochimaru, is masquerading as the Kazekage. He's tricking Suna into helping him get his revenge on Konoha. Naruto explained, and Shikamaru sighed heavily and loudly. A freaking Sannin. Those guys were called legendary for a reason. They were monsters, genius shinobi that hadn't been surpassed in skill by anyone that had come after them. Can the Hokage even beat one? It was nearly treasonous thinking, but Shikamaru couldn't help it. Logically, the Hokage was old, and with age came weakness. The third wasn't as powerful as he was in his prime, and all 3 Sannin were said to be Kage-level shinobi. But the leaf has other strong shinobi. More than the sand. Guys like Asuma-sensei, Kakashi, and Guy. Those guys were A-rank shinobi, and Suna didn't have ninja that could match them. The wild cards are the Sound Village and Gaara. Kabuto had said the Sound Village was new and small, but no one knew much about it. The caliber of shinobi they had was a mystery. And Gaara. The power of human sacrifice. Naruto nodded. There are 9 Bijuu in the world. Gaara holds the weakest, the one Tails. Tails? Shikamaru paled. Like the Kyuubi? The 9-tailed fox that the 4th Hokage defeated. How were they going to fight against something like that? How is that thing even in Gaara? Is that why the kid's insane? No. Naruto denied firmly. Gaara is like that because his village, even his father, treated him like he was a monster until he started thinking he was one himself. I'm going to help him. Okay, Shikamaru frowned. Naruto was being really defensive about a stranger who wanted to murder him. Why? Naruto! What are you doing? Leaning over the rail above her teammate, and Naruto Ino pointed at the former dead last. The proctor is calling you. If you don't hurry, you're gonna get disqualified. Naruto nodded and waved up at her. Thanks, Ino-chan. You better get back to your seats so you can cheer me on. You idiot. Shikamaru expected Ino to shout at Naruto and was going to tell his friend how troublesome women were, so he might as well just keep quiet. What he didn't see coming was the blush on his teammate's face as she turned away. Great. Just what I need. Another guy Ino's gonna fawn over. He heard enough crap about Sasuke. Shika, when the fighting starts. Don't be a lazy bastard, Naruto said and walked away, leaving an annoyed Nara behind him. Troublesome bastard. Mother, he is coming. You will have his blood soon. I promise. Clutching the red tattoo on his forehead, Gaara whispered promises to his mother. She had been agitated since they had arrived in the village hidden in the leaf. And it was all because of... Hey, Gaara! Naruto called, walking into the arena. You ready for our match? You! Gaara hissed, glaring at the man responsible for his mother's pain. I'm going to kill you. Mother will have your blood. Craning his neck side to side, Naruto grinned. Don't worry, Gaara. This fight won't be very long, but we'll have a rematch soon. Begin. Hate swiped his hand through the air and jumped back. Immediately forced onto the defensive as a speared tendril made of sand shot at him, Naruto substituted with a log in the trees. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 5 clones popped into existence behind him. Naruto held his hand up and they vanished. Sorry, Gaara. It wasn't fair to his future friend, but Naruto had to keep the old man from dying. He couldn't afford to be put out of the action in a knockdown drag-out fight like he and Gaara had before. It just wasn't possible to do that again. Weaving hand signs as his clones circled, Naruto clapped his hands together. Seal binding formation. Around Gaara, the 5 clones slapped seals onto their chests, trapping the Jinchuriki. Do not think I am as weak as the Hyuga boy, Gaara said and took a step forward. Just one, just to show Naruto's seal had no effect on him. Damn it. 5's not gonna work. Naruto whispered to himself. Gaara really was a monster in a fight. Crossing his fingers, he focused more of his chakra. Shadow Clone Jutsu. 50 blondes filled the arena circling Gaara. Seal binding formation. Every clone slapped seals onto their chests, strengthening the hold of the seals, binding Gaara in place. I can't move. Gaara twitched his limbs, trying to move his arm. His teal's eyes widened in rage and fear. This had never happened. Why couldn't he move? Mother, help. The only way you are getting out of that is if you transform. Naruto held out his hand. Above his palm, his chakra began to become visible as it swirled into a blue orb. I can't allow that to happen. Now, with all the non-shinobi present in the stadium, and not so close to the village. In the stands, Kakashi's eye widened. That jutsu. Kakashi-sensei, what's wrong? Sakura asked, seeing her usually laid-back sensei show his emotions so clearly. That jutsu Naruto is using, it was created by the 4th Hokage. The 4th Hokage? Everyone close enough to hear Kakashi had wide eyes as they processed the information he had given them. Uzumaki Naruto, dead last of the academy and thought to be all-around below-average ninja, had learned the jutsu created by the hero of the village in just a month. What happened to the old Naruto? Ino didn't understand it. Ever since the Forest of Death, it had been one surprise after another. Shika had mentioned it, but she hadn't really thought about it much until Naruto wiped the floor with Kiba. He had done it so easily. Her eyes widened as she realized that this jutsu had been the one he was talking about. I'm learning a secret super strong jutsu to use in the finals. Naruto grinned, giving her a thumbs up. It was cheesy, but his enthusiasm was contagious, and she found herself smiling back. You'll love it, It's pretty and deadly, just like you. Shaking her head, she yawned loudly, as did those around. Why am I so tired? In the arena, Naruto noticed the white feathers falling and ran faster as Gaara began forming the shell of sand he used to defend against Sasuke's Chidori. That won't work against the original. Throwing his arm forward, he shouted. Rasengan! Naruto-kun! Orochimaru hissed, seething under the Kazekage robes as Gaara's shell imploded and the redhead's limp body went skidding across the ground, only stopping because a pair of Naruto's shadow clones caught him and slapped 2 seal tags stuck onto his chest. That blonde brat had just ruined a crucial part of his attack on the leaf. Lifting his hand, he gave the signal for the invasion to begin. Gaara didn't matter. If he couldn't destroy the leaf, he would have to settle for taking his sensei and their Hokage from them. Without the god of shinobi and recovering from an invasion, the village would look weak, and at least one of the other great 5 nations would smell the blood in the water and attack. Kakuku, this is the end for you, Sarutobi-sensei. Sitting in his seat as his student dropped smoke bombs, drawing the attention of everyone in the arena, Hiruzen sighed. He had thought he taught Orochimaru better than that. Now the Umbu would be on their way. Old man! Looking up at the Kage booth as white feathers began to put the civilians and genin in the arena asleep, Naruto growled, seeing 4 figures descend into the smoke. The sound 4. He remembered them. They had held the barrier that kept the old man trapped with Orochimaru and the first 2 Hokage. His senseis, the Shodame, Senju Hashirama, and the Nidame, Senju Tobirama. And they had gotten in their way during the Sasuke retrieval mission. Not this time. Creating 2 shadow clones, he held out his arms. Get me to the Hokage. Grunting as he was bodily picked up by his clones and chucked through the air, he shut his eyes as the wind whipped against his face. I only have to stop one. And it's gonna be a... Drawing 6 kunai, 3 in each hand and 1 for each arm, he threw them at the sound ninja he had chosen as his target. Ah! That little bastard. Cursing, Kidamura landed on the roof out of formation, stumbling as his landing jarred the steel lodged in his skin. Lord Orochimaru is going to be angry. Whoever had stopped him from completing his task was going to pay. Stupid blonde brat. Orochimaru cursed, seeing his plan to isolate his sensei unravel as a squad of Umbu and Tsunade flanked the 3rd, who threw his robes off, revealing his battle armor underneath. Kidamaru, Jirobo, take care of Naruto-kun. Tayuya-sakan, your target is Sasuke-kun. What are you planning, Orochimaru? Hiruzen asked, spinning his bow staff as the 4 children fled from the roof. You cannot defeat me in Tsunadeheim. Kakuku, all we're missing is Jiraiya. Orochimaru chuckled, but his snake-like eyes narrowed. Sarutobi-sensei was right. He was the strongest of the 3 Sannin, but against his teammates and sensei, he wouldn't be able to win alone. But I'm glad you're here, Tsunadeheim. We haven't seen each other in such a long time, and I've been meaning to ask for your help. Your medical ninjutsu would be very helpful in my experiments. I'd never help you, Orochimaru. What you've done, what you do. It's disgusting. Tsunade spat, glaring at her teammate. She should have splattered him all over that cave wall during the 3rd war. The 3-way deadlock should have ended then and there. When he tried to kill Jiraiya. Not even if I bring back what you love the most? Weaving through the hand signs, the immortal snake smirked. He didn't enough sacrifice prepared to summon Nawaki and Dan, but he was sure these 2 would be enough to convince her of his power. Impure world resurrection. Hiruzen gasped as 2 wooden coffins rose from the ground. First, second, I can't let the 3rd rise. Throwing a single kunai, the third Hokage clapped his hands together, performing an original jutsu. Shadow Shuriken Jutsu. One turned to 100 and every shuriken hit its mark, littering the top half of the third coffin. So you stopped the fourth from rising. No matter. Clapping his hands together, Orochimaru's tongue slithered out of his mouth and over his lips as the front of the coffins fell forward, clattering to the floor, revealing the two people inside. Sarutobi-sensei. I always wondered who was the real god of shinobi. Lord Hashirama, Tobirama-sensei. Hiruzen knuckles turned white as he gripped his staff. So this is what you've been experimenting with. The Night Aims Jutsu. Grandfather? Uncle? You've led us on quite the chase, scum. But you will die for interrupting Lord Orochimaru's plan. Kidamaru glared at the blonde leaf trash that had stabbed him earlier. He was going to suffocate the brat with his webs. Holding two kunai in his hands, Naruto's eyes darted from Kidamaru to Jirobo. He remembered them. Kidamaru was the spider guy and Jirobo absorbed chakra and was super strong. Good thing I stopped Gaara already. The suppression and paralyzing seal he had his clone slap on his friend would keep him down until Jiraiya could do something more permanent. None of the other genin would have been able to handle Gaara, and the village couldn't spare Jonin to take him down. Which was good anyway. A Jonin wouldn't have a problem killing Gaara to cripple the sound, and he didn't want his friend to die. I won't let that happen. So he had to finish his opponents quickly. Blue eyes narrowed as black markings spread across Kidamaru and Jirobo's bodies. Beating them quickly was going to be hard if they were already entering into the first stage of the curse mark. They must be really angry with him if they weren't going to drag the battle out by toying with him. Spider web flower. Kicking off the branch he was standing on, Naruto dodged the multiple small nets of spider webs shooting at him. In the air, he crossed his arms in front of his face as Jirobo appeared in front of him, a large fist drawn back. You won't win against us, trash. Jirobo's fist slammed into Naruto's guard, sending the genin back towards the tree he had just left. Damn it, he's strong. Flipping as he flew through the air, Naruto landed feet first, sticking to the tree's trunk, but dropped to the ground as a golden arrow pierced where his head formerly was. Landing on the ground, he rolled out of the way, dodging a chubby leg as it came down, crashing into the dirt, creating a large crater. These guys work well together. If they hadn't been so caught up in their mission to get Sasuke to Orochimaru on time, Naruto was sure his team would have had more trouble beating them together than one-on-one. Especially when that bone guy showed up. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Scoffing as dozens of blondes looked down at them from the trees, Kidamaru landed on the ground next to Jirobo. Nothing times 100 is still nothing. Trash. Half of you take out Spider Boy, Naruto ordered, digging his sandals into the dirt and raising his fist. The rest of you are helping me with the big guy. If I can beat these two here, it's another step to keep Sasuke from Orochimaru. He didn't think Sasuke would go to the snake bastard again since he had kept him from using the cursed seal. His friend didn't know the power of the mark and therefore wouldn't leave to gain more of that power. To think Master Orochimaru would task two of us to deal with one piece of leaf trash. Jirobo crouched down and dug his hands into the earth. I will settle this quickly and return to him. Rafik. Standing back up, the Sound 4 member brought with him a chunk of the ground the size of a house. Die, scum! Substituting with a log behind Jirobo, Naruto threw two kunai with paper bombs attached to them at the weakest of the Sound 4. It wouldn't take him out, but it wasn't supposed to. Jirobo, Kidamaru shouted as his partner went up in a cloud of fire. He didn't personally care about the fatso, but Orochimaru would be angry that he lost one of his strongest ninjas. You shouldn't look away from your opponent, a clone said, shoving a knee into Spider Guy's gut, lifting the Sound Ninja off his feet. Following it up with 3 heavy punches, forcing Kidamaru higher into the air, he ducked down as Clone 2 used his back as a springboard, jumping and grabbing the purple rope around Kidamaru's waist, throwing him even higher. Shadow of the Dancing Leaf. Clone 1 appeared above Kidamaru, wrapping his arms and legs around his 6-armed opponent. Tipping backward, he began to spin, careening towards the ground like a missile. Suicide Clone Lotus. Thanks, Lee. Crashing into the earth headfirst, the clone dispersed as Kidamaru was buried up to the neck. Get off of me! Bogged down by a dozen clones, Jirobo tried to throw the blondes off of him, but for every one he got loose, 2 more took its place. You're next. Running at the bigger ninja, Naruto focused his chakra in his hand, and Jirobo could only watch as the original Naruto charged at him, holding a ball of chakra in his hand. Rasengan! Driving his jutsu into Jirobo's chest, Naruto clones dispelled. Without anything holding him in place, the orange-haired Sound Ninja shot backward from the force of the Rasengan hitting him. He's dead. Naruto stared at the hole in his opponent's chest. Even with the curse seal, nothing was going to heal that. The ribs around the heart were shattered and blood was gushing from the hand-sized wound. Naruto! Huh! Looking up from Jirobo's corpse as Shikamaru, Sakura and Pakin landed next to him, he frowned at Sakura. Eye grew wide and she took a step away from him. Did she think because he killed the enemy he was going to kill her too? Shikamaru looked a little green, but he moved past it. Kakashi-sensei sent us after you. To help. Well, I got these guys, Naruto said as two of his clones carried Kidamaru's unconscious body over to them. This guy is still alive. My clones will take him to the T&I HQ. If he was someone Orochimaru trusted enough to attack the Hokage, he should know something. What about the other guy? Sakura demanded hotly. We can't just leave him here. He may have been an enemy, but it was disrespectful to just leave his body to rot in the elements. Shikamaru shook his head. I'm sure someone else will come along and find him. We have another mission to complete. Another mission? Naruto asked, having a feeling he knew what it was. The Sand siblings bolted from the stadium. Kakashi-sensei said after we neutralize these guys to go after Gaara. It's an A-rank mission to stop him from using his bijou to destroy the village. Shikamaru explained, confusing Sakura, who didn't know what a bijou was. Behind the group of three, laughter came from the trees. 3 genin to stop Gaara? Naruto-kun, I could understand, but you too? Kabuto. Drawing a kunai, Naruto stepped in front of Sakura and Shikamaru, putting himself between them and the medic nin. Dressed in a stolen Umbu uniform, sans the mask, Kabuto pushed his glasses higher onto his nose, a smirk on his face. I can't let you go after Gaara, Naruto-kun. Lord Orochimaru has decreed it. Shikamaru, take Sakura and go after Gaara, Naruto ordered. I'll take care of this guy. What? Naruto, you idiot, me and Shikamaru can't beat someone like Gaara. Sakura tried to move in front of Naruto, but was stopped by her teammate's arm. Wien. Shika, who did Kakashi say was in charge of this mission? That would be you, Blondie, Pakin answered. Naruto nodded. Good, he was hoping that was the case. I've given my orders. Now both of you go. You two can complete our mission. Sakura opened her mouth to refute, only to freeze as control of her body vanished. Shadow Possession Jutsu, complete. Shikamaru sighed and turned around, forcing Sakura to follow his movements. We'll take care of it, Naruto. Jumping into the trees, Pakin and Sakura following after him, the young Nara frowned. If Naruto was sending them after a guy like Gaara, how strong was that gray-haired guy? And we're leaving him to fight alone. How troublesome. Sending your friends after to keep them safe is not very smart, Naruto-kun, Kabuto said, covering his hand in chakra, forming a scalpel. Gaara is going to crush them in his sand. Naruto shook his head, forming half a ram's seal with one hand. Activate. Kabuto jumped back, dodging whatever attack Naruto had been trying to use. He couldn't see any seals on the ground, so it wasn't the kid's string-like formation. Looking around, he didn't see anything. Everything was the same as it had been seconds ago. What did you do, Naruto-kun? Just helping my friends out. Now, Naruto drew another kunai and channeled his chakra so it was coating his weapons. You're a traitor to the Leaf Village, Kabuto. And as a Leaf Shinobi, it's my job to bring you in. HN. Kabuto's shoulders shook as he laughed. I'm as strong as your sensei, Hatake Kakashi. You won't be able to beat me. Lucky for you, I didn't come here to fight. I have a few questions I would like to ask you. Questions? Kabuto nodded, letting chakra scalpels fade. You're running with Lord Orochimaru in the Forest of Death. Lord Orochimaru bit you, and the blood I extracted from his mouth was quite interesting. Of course, Sasuke-kun's blood would be special. The Uchiha clan has always had strong DNA. But yours was a surprise. What are you talking about, you bastard? His blood wasn't special. He wasn't from a clan or had a Kekkei Genkai. I'm just normal. Oh, you're far from normal, Naruto-kun. The chakra of Abijah has mixed with your blood. You see, Naruto, you heal very quickly, as I'm sure you noticed. And I bet you passed it off as just the Kyuubi healing you, didn't you? Kabuto held up a hand, ticking his index finger side to side as he sked. That is part of it, but only half. The other half is your Uzumaki blood. It is quite special. Asked your question? Right. Kabuto nodded. Would you mind giving me more of your blood? For further experiments. The samples we took from the hospital are running low. I'm not giving you my blood, Naruto shouted and threw his kunai. He was done talking. Letting the kunai strike him, Kabuto looked down at the blades sticking out of his chest. It seems our conversation is over. That's okay, your friends must have caught up to Gaara by now. I'll let you go retrieve their bodies. A mud clone? Naruto frowned as Kabuto melted into a disfigured brown lump. The bastard was never even here. And what was he talking about blood for? That had never happened in the future. Kabuto had made it very clear they were using his blood for something since it was special, but what? If his blood really did have some of the Kyuubi's chakra, it should be deadly to other people. Yes, I was. Naruto's eyes widened before his vision went black and he fell forward. Damn it, I let my guard down. Standing over Naruto, Kabuto removed 5 large jars from his purple shirt and set them down next to Naruto. Channeling his chakra to his left hand, he lifted Naruto's arm with his right and held it over the first jar. I did ask nicely, first, Naruto-kun, he said and nicked the vein at Naruto-kun's wrist. You. Heh, so this is what those seals did. Staring down at the immobile sand sibling trio, Shikamaru smirked. Naruto, you're one hell of a guy. Naruto? Sakura asked. What does he have to do with anything? He's not even here. Shikamaru sighed. Sakura was in the audience boxes, so she couldn't have seen. Naruto had Orochimaru's weapon defeated before the invasion even began. And he made sure the village would have leverage by capturing the Kazekage's other 2 children as well. Sakura grabbed Temari. These 3 are high-profile prisoners of war now. We can't let anything happen to them. Shikamaru crouched down next to the puppet guy and Gaara grabbing them by the back of their clothes. Ugh! Grunting, Sakura fell to her knees. She's so heavy. Whining, really? Shikamaru shot Sakura an annoyed glare. Kankuro and Gaara were too heavy for him to move, but he wasn't whining. He might have complained, but he wasn't going to whine like a child. Sitting down in front of the sand siblings, he looked up at the sky. If they couldn't move them, then they had to stand guard until someone who could move them came. Pakin, lead Sakura back to the village. Sakura, find a Jonin or something and bring them here. What? Why can't you go, you lazy? If someone comes, I can trap them with my shadow jutsu. Shikamaru interrupted before the top kunoichi of his year could whine anymore. Just go. Man, how did he get stuck on a mission with someone who complained more than him? How troublesome. Ha! That is 23 ninja I have taken down. Guy cheered as he knocked another sound ninja unconscious with his leaf hurricane. You have only beaten 22, my eternal rival. That means I win again. Snatching the Chunin's kunai, Kakashi leaped over the younger ninja and chopped him across the neck. Now we are tied. He could have stabbed his enemy, but with everyone from the Sand Village being manipulated by Orochimaru, it didn't seem right killing them. They didn't know they were being tricked by a rogue ninja and being used to get revenge on Konoha. Each of them came here knowing they might die because they thought this invasion would make life better for everyone who lived in the Sunagekure. They didn't deserve to die for that. Orochimaru certainly did, but not anyone caught up in the Sanin's plots. Ah, Kakashi, as cool as ever. Guy grabbed 2 sound ninja trying to attack him from behind and smashed their heads together before throwing them over the railing and out of the viewing box. However, that cool is no match for the warm air in my springtime of youth. You're always so extreme, Guy. Kakashi sighed as his self-proclaimed eternal rival kept shouting and cheering as they fought. Kakashi-sensei. Ducking under stray kunai as she ran through the battle, Sakura shouted, drawing attention to her. Kakashi-sensei. Sakura, what are you doing here? Kakashi jumped in front of his student, blocking half a dozen kunai thrown at her. I gave you an order. Find Naruto and stop Gaara. Sakura nodded. Gaara is already stopped. Shikamaru sent me back here to find someone who could move him and his siblings. For some reason, they are really heavy. Heavy? Kakashi frowned, blocking another volley of kunai and shuriken. Seals could make someone heavier than they were, but who could have done it? Naruto, maybe. He had used the string light formation and the seal binding formation in his matches. Doesn't matter. Whether it was Naruto or someone else. The Sand siblings had been subdued, and that was what mattered. Sakura, stick close to me. When the battle is over, you will lead me to where Shikamaru and Naruto are. Okay, Kakashi-sensei. Great, another hospital. Sitting up in bed, Naruto lifted his arms, scowling at the tubes running from right below the crook of his elbow to the foreback hung next to his bed. He hated hospitals. How did he even end up in the hospital? He had been clobbering those sound ninja and then Kabuto. The sheets underneath his hands bunched up as Naruto clenched his fist. That traitorous bastard had got the drop on him. How could I have let that happen? He wasn't supposed to be making mistakes like that. Naruto-kun, you're awake. Glancing up, Naruto's teeth stopped grinding together as Shizen walked into his room, tauntaun held against her chest. Shizen-ne-chan. Can you get me out of here? Shaking her head, Tsunade's apprentice giggled softly as she set tauntaun down and checked the 4 bags. Sorry, Naruto-kun. Tsunade-sama is your doctor. Only she can decide when you can be released. What? Well, where is she at? Right here. Tsunade walked into the room, a clipboard held in her hands and a stern glare already on her face, making Naruto gulp. Now, brat, you lost more than half the blood in your body. You're lucky to even be alive. I feel fine now. So if you don't mind, I need to start training. Slamming her clipboard down on the table next to Naruto's bed, Tsunade set a hand on his shoulder and pushed him back down. Well, you have been unconscious for 3 days. So there will be no training until I say so. 3 days? What about the invasion? Is the old man alright? Sarutobi-sensei is fine. He's at the office right now. Tsunade growled. That was a sore spot for her. She was the Hokage's doctor and knew that he shouldn't be in the office. He should be in the hospital recovering from the chakra exhaustion he suffered fighting against his predecessors. Of course, that wasn't possible because of all the vultures on the council. Mainly the 3 advisors who were looking to replace him. She didn't understand why Sensei didn't just fire them and be done with it. Closing his eyes as Tsunade moved away from his bed and started talking to Shizen about things he wasn't even going to try and understand. He was no medical ninja, never would be, so it was all lost to him. Instead, he thought about Kabuto and Orochimaru. Those 2 were the ones who had changed the most. Marking him with a curse mark, stealing his blood for experiments. None of that had happened in the future. And he had ignored it because he didn't think it mattered. He would never use Orochimaru's cursed powers, so being marked didn't matter. It was actually a good thing in his mind because it connected him to Sasuke more. His friend would be able to see that he didn't need the curse mark's power to become strong. I just need to get strong enough to prove it to him. What he couldn't ignore was them taking his blood. Kabuto had said it had the Kyuubi's chakra in it, and mentioned his rapid healing. Maybe that's what they were after. No, he shook his head. That couldn't be it. When me and Pervy Sage went to find Tsunade, Kabuto got up from a Rasengan because he has healing powers. But that was the only thing he could think of. Healing powers. No one without his seal would be able to control the Ninetales chakra. So what do they need my blood for? What if Naruto stops holding back Chunin exams? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel, and leave a like if you guys need the next part, comment down, and thanks for watching the video, and see you guys in the next video.